The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Wednesday edition of Running Points, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Who is this strange person next to me? I don't know who you are.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Well, you're here today and tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the fun for you doesn't start until Friday.
yeah. If I was scheduled for Friday, I'd have to be like, sorry, Ron, you're gonna be solo again. But I'm back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Well,
and
listen, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you get to broadcast the state semifinals on Friday, and the weather's supposed to be glorious. Fingers crossed, you get to schedule or you get to broadcast the state championship game on Saturday. And I mentioned this yesterday. I think it would be so cool if 5 years in the making, we had a rematch between South Range and Wheelersburg. And obviously, none of the kids that were taking part in the 2016 game were around for 2021, if there is a state championship game between Wheelersburg and South Range. But I think it would be really cool if those two teams played again, and this time South Range did the trick and won a state title. I think it would be really cool.
that's obviously the goal, and they have all. I've said this on the Power Hour yesterday. They have all the pieces there to win a state championship. Now, that doesn't mean anything. That means you have the pieces. A lot of teams have the pieces. Ursuline had the pieces, and unfortunately for them, they met someone else that had the pieces in regionals. I'm sure a lot of regional teams had the pieces, but they do have extremely good pitching that did what no one else had done to Ursuline's offense all year. They have a balanced lineup that doesn't have too many holes in it that you can say, oh, we can, really get this girl out really easily. Like, everyone's hitting at least 300. And they only made one error so far in the tournament, so their defense is pretty above reproach. So you look at that team and they have all the pieces there. There's not a lot of holes. And if they just play clean softball and play their game, they're going to have a chance to win both semifinal and championship.
On paper, I think South Range has an excellent chance to win a state championship. Here's where the game by game thing happens, and you have the pitching, you have the defense. The pitching, you can pretty much say, okay, we have the pitching. The defense is game by game, right, and the timely hitting is game by game, and that's where. Yeah, on paper, South Range should be able to win a state championship this weekend in girls softball, but you've got to have your defense and your timely hitting on point for the next two games. Otherwise, you're not winning a state title. And this is where, man, single elimination is so difficult because you have to have all of that working for either 7 or 8 straight games before you win a state championship.
And that's why, in a perfect world, that Ursuline and South Range game would be a super regional, and it'd be like 2 out of 3. And you could really say the best team won for sure because they won 2 out of 3. But that's just not how it's done in high school.
No, it isn't.
That's what makes high school so exciting because any given day, someone can have an off game or whatever it may be, and you can just slip right in and get there.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I said this yesterday. I had no thought whatsoever South Range was going to beat Ursuline. I thought Ursuline would win this game. I thought it would be very competitive, but I thought Ursuline would win the game. I thought Ursuline would go and represent the area in the state. And damn if South Range didn't come up and beat them. And the better team won from that particular day. South Range outplayed United. They were the better team. They go to the state semifinals, and they'll carry the banner, and hopefully they win a state championship.
And it's funny, I think a lot of people shared your sentiment that they went into that game thinking Ursuline's the favorite because Ursuline was the number one team in the state. But then when you really dive into their stats and their numbers and their schedule, these two teams mirrored each other almost identically. They both had almost the same fielding percentage. I think Ursuline was like 9.58 and South Range was 9.61. They both had lockdown pitching that had ERAs below 1.5. Their offense both scored over 300 runs. They both had at least 7 hitters that have hit home runs on the year. It was just like, and all their lineup hit at least 300. So you look at it and you go, these teams are so evenly matched. It's just going to be who makes the better plays and who gets kind of the lucky breaks. And on Monday, it was South Range that got a couple of lucky breaks and then capitalized on them.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it's one thing to have the lucky breaks. You also have to capitalize on those lucky breaks. And that's exactly what Range did.
In the first inning, South Range had a bloop single that went off the glove of the second baseman. I mean, it was a diving attempt, and it was just dropped in that Bermuda Triangle and right. But if the next two hitters strike out, then that's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Stackowitz comes up and hits a home run right after that. It's a 2-run lead for South Range. So they got that little break, and then they took advantage of it the next batter, and they scored the 2 runs.
Yeah, and look, what's South Range is going to play Johnstown. Johnstown is going to have to play a clean game because you're not going to want to open the door ever so slightly because this team will kick the door in. So you're going to have to play a clean game. You can't commit any errors in the field. You have to walk as few amount of people as humanly possible, and even then, you still might not beat this team because they're that good.
The other thing, the infield can never take a breath because that happened to Ursuline in that third inning. It was a little swinging bunt down the first base line. They tried to see if it would go foul. It didn't. They picked it up through it to first. It wasn't in time. But then they just kind of tossed it back to the pitcher. She's walking back, and then Kohler just comes around from third, never stops, and they score a run from second on a swinging bunt because there was just that little breath from the infield that said, okay, the play's over. But South Range will steal bases if you don't pay attention. They've taken second after walking because it's just a throwback to the pitcher, and no one's really paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Boop, second base.
Yeah, it's something that irritates opposing coaches, but timeout is never called.
Right.
That's why you have to pay attention. Because you never know. And your thing on the swinging bunt, okay, the kid is running toward third base. You're paying that much attention to the person at first base. You think the play is over. Nobody has called timeout, so the play is not over. That means that person that's coming around third base can easily score, and you have to put your head on a swivel when you play a team like that. It's something that you have to be able to do.
One of the things I was really happy about, though, the Ursuline South Range, it was a clean game. It wasn't decided by a defensive mistake, or it was one error piece, and neither of the errors really cost the other team. Bree Kohler reached on an error in the first inning. She was thrown out at third. And then the final error by South Range in the seventh, they got the runner on with 2 outs, so it would have been the game-tying run. But that obviously didn't come to fruition. So neither error really cost the other team, and other than that, it was really a great defensive effort, and it was a clean game. That's what I wanted. I didn't want that game to be decided by mistakes on the defensive side.
No, absolutely. So, and look, I mean, it's South Range will take on Johnstown on Friday morning at 10 a.m., and that's going to be one day after a few baseball games will be played.
Johnstown beat the number 1 team in the state to get. I mean, Williamsburg was sitting at number 1. They were fighting with Ursuline 1 and 2 all season. Then Ursuline dropped a couple, and Williamsburg took that number 1 team in the state. Johnstown's playing like a motivated team. They're playing with a lot of tragedy on their shoulders. We all know what they're going through as a program. And they're playing like a motivated bunch of girls that just beat the number 1 team in the state 2-1. So South Range got to go into that game focused and not sleep on Johnstown just because they weren't the favorites in that regional final.
Well, absolutely. Once you get to the semifinals, I mean, once you get to the regionals, if you fall asleep on someone, that's on you. Shame on you. You deserve to lose. You can't fall asleep on anybody once you get to the Sweet 16. And now, especially now, you get to the Final Four. This team may not be record-wise pristine, but they got to the state semifinals for a reason. You better respect them.
And I think it's a big advantage that Coach DeRose and Coach Farron have been to this stage before. So they know how to prepare for the state semifinals. They know what it takes to win a state semifinal game. And even though the players haven't been there before, it's a big deal when the coaches have. Because they're not going to be heading the lights either. Because sometimes the coaches can be a little bit taken by the stage too.
Oh, sure.
And maybe overthink things, make a big game plan because it's a big game, and get out of themselves a little bit. And I don't expect that at all from DeRose or Farron.
Well, and the other team on the other side of the bracket in the state semifinals, I got to wonder if it weren't for Champion, how many state titles would Wheelersburg win in girls softball?
They got to be looking at like, it's not Champion.
Yeah.
This is our time.
Yeah, well, I mean, they looked at him like that in 2016.
Right.
Because Wheelersburg and Champion were playing each other for a while there. So it's Wheelersburg is a team that in the southern part of the state, the team, and I broadcast this game in 2016. The shortstop from Wheelersburg, and she didn't last at LSU, but she went to LSU on a full ride scholarship, and she was really good that particular day. Had a couple of hits and made a dazzling play at shortstop.
The bad thing about that situation was she went into LSU right ahead of one of the best shortstops they've had in program history. So, she was sitting behind a little bit and then transferred out because I don't think there was really much of an opportunity with the girl ahead of her shining the way that she did at short.
Yeah. So Wheelersburg is going to play Sherwood Fairview. And, if it comes to experience, it'll probably be South Range and Wheelersburg for a state title. But we'll see what happens. That's going to be fun. Friday morning at 10 a.m. And then if South Range wins, Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m.
I think this South Range team is better than the one in 16. And that's no disrespect. No disrespect to the 16 team. They were really good. They had really good pitching, timely hitting. But I think this team's better. I think they have a better lineup 1 through 9. I think there are less holes in it. I think they have better all-around defense, and I think they have a really good shot.
Yeah, they got a good shot. All right, Thursday, as today is the calm before the storm. Although it's kind of storming, the Indians have already lost their game with Chicago. They postponed it pretty early. There is a brief reprise before we get into regional baseball, and I made mention of this yesterday. Division IV at Strongsville High School. Even though Matthews is not a YSN school, there is an opportunity for an all-local regional championship game. Kennedy will be playing Columbia out of Columbia Station at 1:30. Matthews will be playing Tiffin Calvert's at 4:30. That's tomorrow at Strongsville High School. That is west of Cleveland. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock in Division II at Canton Glen Oak. It's an all-local regional semifinal game. Canfield taking on Salem. That should be a great game. And then Division III at Massillon Washington High School, or as the Massillon Knights say, the Massillon High School. South Range will be taking on Gilmore Academy at 5 o'clock in a regional semifinal match.
Those are a lot of good matchups. But I'm particularly excited for Salem Canfield. I think everyone kind of is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're guaranteed a team in the regional championship game, which I think we're going to get more than one team in the regional championship, but we are guaranteed one team in the regional championship. And, I said this last week. I don't think you were here when I said it. I think this region, with the 4 teams that are left, blows any other region out of the water in Division II. You've got Canfield, Salem, a really, really dangerous Chagrin Falls team and a very good Akron-Hoban baseball team. You're talking 4 premium quality teams that I think whoever wins this region is going to win a state championship.
Yeah, and Canfield already kind of took care of Hoban this year.
Yeah.
So
I think this is going to be fun. This is just going to be a fun regional tournament all the way around.
I just got an update from the rumor mill that if JFK and Matthews both win, it will be played at Scene Park.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it kind of makes sense because why in the world would you want 2 teams to truck it all the way to the west side of Cleveland when they're in the area and they're in the valley? You might as well play the games on Scene and just have some fun with that.
And I think it's at noon, if I'm not mistaken. and there's a PBR tournament going on at Scene Park this weekend. So that's why it would be at noon. That way they don't have to completely shift their schedule to do it. But go JFK and go Matthews.
Yeah, if that were the case, I mean, it normally then I think they scheduled the championship game at Strongsville for 2:00. But hell, if Kennedy and Matthews both win, why would you take those 2 teams to the west end of Cleveland? Why not just play them in Youngstown and be done with it?
that's an easy win right there.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
And what a great benefit it is to have a Scene Park. They can do that.
Well, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be fantastic. Now, whether or not Kennedy and Matthews can both win, that remains to be seen.
I think. Well, we haven't talked about Matthews baseball this year because they're not really a YSN team, but Kennedy, they've been maybe a little bit under the radar this year, but they're doing things really well, and I have full confidence that they'll win that game and get to a regional championship.
Well, they take on a Columbia High School in Columbia Station, Ohio. Year in, year out, really nice program. But
Not the country.
Yeah, not the country. Although coffee would be served if it was the country.
They're not going up against Pablo Escobar.
No. Juan Pablos.
Oh, it was Pablo.
Yeah. Care for some coffee? No.
No.
Matthews and Tiffin Calvert. This is the northwestern district up around the Sandusky area, which I'm stunned that they're part of this region. I thought that they would be in the Toledo region or somewhere thereabouts.
A really special spring for Matthews because their softball team got close in the regional final, almost won that game. They had an inside the park home run to make it 4-2 in the 7th, and they had unfortunately for them, they had an error in the bottom of the 6th to kind of put that game out of reach. But if their baseball team could also reach a regional championship, then what a great spring that would be for that spring program to have baseball and softball at least regional runner-ups in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I wouldn't sleep on Matthews. They've been solid all year long. Yes, they're not a YSN school, but doesn't mean that we haven't seen what they've done. They're a solid program, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. Tiffin Calvert got through a very difficult district out their way. Good baseball in the northwestern part of the state. We'll see what happens there. Canfield and JFK played yesterday. Why these 2 teams played each other in a game yesterday is beyond me.
Why not?
But Canfield beat JFK 11-0, and actually it was a no-hitter that was thrown in a 5-inning job by Beitelschieß. He threw the no-hitter, 4 strikeouts in the victory. Slanker got a couple of hits for the Canfield Cardinals. I think they wound up banging out 8 hits. Both teams committed an error. A lot of walks in the ball game. But
JFK's a really good team that they just did that to. I mean, Canfield is laughably good. Like, I'm sitting here laughing because this is this. What more can you say about it? They threw Beitelschieß, and he just threw a no-hitter because they have 4 or 5 pitchers that can do that, and they can afford to just.
It kind of answered the question as to who's going to pitch game 1.
It's going to be Petro.
Yeah, it's not going to be Beitelschieß because he pitched yesterday. So. But look, Canfield's got to get past a pretty good Salem team, and that Salem team has had it up to here with all the talk about how great Canfield is, because they're that team that's been under the radar all year long. Not many folks have talked about how solid a team the Salem Quakers are. This could land one of two ways. Either Canfield just comes in and destroys them, or this game becomes really, really tight and a really must-see type of atmosphere.
You know what's beautiful about high school baseball and softball? You don't have to be the better team.
Nope.
You just have to be the better team for 7 innings.
Exactly.
And both of them are phenomenal teams. And you could, I wouldn't be shocked if Salem won that game because they're good enough to be better than Canfield for 7 innings.
Especially who they're throwing.
And
he can shut anybody down
Canfield
on a given day.
has won a lot of 1-0 games, which means other teams have had opportunities to beat them. They just haven't been able to do it because their pitching has been so good. But they've won a handful of 1-0 close games. So what I expect is Salem will at least have the chances, the opportunities presented to them to win that game. I don't think Canfield's going to run away with it. Now, whether or not Salem capitalizes on those opportunities given to them, who knows? It's baseball. But I wouldn't expect a blowout or a kick the doors open. I think Salem will have their chances.
I wouldn't change a damn thing if I were Salem. You're going to still be the same team that you've been all year long. You don't change anything. If you're aggressive on the base paths, you're aggressive in this game. You don't change a thing. You play your game, and you let the chips fall where they may.
This is dangerously similar to the South Range Ursuline softball game. Everyone was talking about Ursuline, top team in the state, and South Range is like, hey,
okay, yeah, we're here.
We're here, and the whole talk was, South Range is great. They're just not Ursuline. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's almost, it kind of feels like that if from a Salem perspective. Like they keep hearing Salem's great. They're not Canfield. Like,
well, and the other thing, and maybe this is a built-in chip for those of us that lived in Columbiana County most of our lives. Columbiana County is the redheaded stepchild of the Mahoning Valley. I mean, let's be honest. Trumbull County and Mahoning County get 99.9% of the publicity prior to YSN.
Right.
99.9% of the publicity went to Trumbull and Mahoning County, and the schools in Columbiana County were like, excuse me? We're here and we're not bad, and everyone was like, "Oh, you guys are okay, but you don't get any of the coverage."
And that's one of the reasons that YSN was founded, because our founders, DJ Oakley, went to East Palestine, and he went to a high school that never really got a lot of coverage, and he said, "We want to change this." And even though, and that's why three of our first four were in Columbiana County.
Crestview, Latonia, and Palestine.
They were Palestine wasn't one of our top four, but Latonia, Salem, and Crestview, all in Columbiana County.
Yep.
South Range was the fourth, and they were in Mahoning. But when you have three of the first four in Columbiana County, and you're from Columbiana County, and you want to give them their coverage, I mean, that's one of the reasons that YSN was founded.
Well, and look, I mean, you want to have the accolades. Do your best David impersonation. Get a couple of rocks. Get your slingshot ready, and take Goliath down. And then everyone will start talking about you, just like South Range did on Memorial Day against Ursuline. That's how Salem has to come into this. The pressure's not on Salem. Nobody expects. Look, I'm going to be very blunt. Nobody expects Salem to beat Canfield except for some people in Salem.
Right.
I mean, that's just the reality. So if you're Salem, I'm going to play like that. Look, there's absolutely positively zero pressure on the Salem Quakers tomorrow afternoon when they play Canfield. None.
And I'm pretty sure Salem will be the designated away team. If I'm right, I think they're on the line in the bracket that's away. That's such an advantage because they have, it's an advantage early if they take advantage of it. They have the chance to jump on an early lead.
Sure.
And set the tone of that game before Canfield can even get to the bats. That's one of the only advantages to being the away team. Because then when you get late in the games, obviously the home team gets the last at bats, and that's an advantage home team. But right in the jump, I think I would rather be the away team in this situation because my thought is I have the first opportunity to put pressure on you right off the gate. And I want that.
Announce your presence with authority.
And that's what South Range did. And that's what Salem's going to have to do.
Yeah, so it'll be a fun game. And I don't expect a mercy roll 5 or 6 inning game. I think it's going to be a closer game than
once again.
than what
I
people
wouldn't be
think.
surprised because Canfield has done that to a lot of good
Of
teams.
course, yeah.
But I really expect this to be a game where Salem at least has their chances to win.
Yeah, I think Salem will hang with Canfield, and again, the longer you hang with a team that's supposed to be the moderate to heavy favorite, the better chance you have of winning. Because at that point, if it's a tie game or if it's a really tight game, the longer the game goes, now we're playing the game of chicken. Who's going to blink first? And the team with the pressure, they're the team that's more likely to blink at that point.
Isn't it interesting, though, that the state has made it like you are not going to pitch the same person you pitched in this semifinal because we're making the next game the very next day.
Oh,
so there's
listen,
no
I mean,
chance.
this screams whoever has the best pitching is going to get out of the region.
Right.
And I love this. I forget about the whole Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday. No. We're going to play the game. We're going to play the regional championship game the day after you get done with your regional semifinal game. And then we'll figure out who goes to the tournament. And listen, I know that we're in our part of the state. I'm gonna tell you right now, the two teams that are on opposite ends of this region are not to be looked at in a negative light because Chagrin Falls is a really good baseball team.
I honestly think Chagrin Falls is a lot better than Hoban, and I think they're going to win that game handily. That might be the run rule of the region.
We'll see.
Because I've seen Hoban, they're good, but like Canfield just kind of did away with them.
Chagrin Falls is really good, and we'll see what they're like when they go up against Hoban. I mean, Hoban has a aura about them, and it may not just be football, but though everyone will look at Hoban and say, this program, I mean, it's pretty legit. And
you know what? Even if Hoban's record wasn't great, people would just beat them and not feel sorry about it. You know,
well, no, I mean, if you can beat them, that's
because I don't care what sport it is. You beat Hoban, it's like.
You've done something pretty special if you knock off that school.
It's like they're the British villain in every Bond film. Like you just want to. They're
not cute.
They're the dynasty, you know.
No,
they're that mighty program from Akron that everyone kind of wants a little shot at to say we're good enough to beat them.
Yeah, it's Hoban's football program, St. V's basketball program. Not sure who the baseball fiend is from Akron, but this year it's Hoban.
Well, it'd probably be Canton Central.
Well, yeah, that's true. We will get into that part of it here in a little bit. South Range gets to play Gilmore Academy
round 2
at Massillon.
They already played each other. And Gilmore won the first matchup 4-2, but Mikos didn't pitch that game.
Well, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens when these two teams play each other at 5 o'clock. That's going to be the nightcap of the first game, which I think the first game is going to be phenomenal. Burton Berkshire showed so much where we sat back and said, okay, the ace did a great job against Springfield in the district semifinals. Do they have another pitcher that's as good as the ace? Yes. Why, yes.
Ding, ding, ding,
they
ding.
do. Based on what they did against Cardinal Mooney, yeah, they do. So Burton Berkshire, they have a mountain to climb because Canton Central Catholic is a good program, but Burton Berkshire checks the box that means a great deal to me, and that's pitching. And if they can get that kind of pitching in the regional tournament, that's the best team in this region based on what the two pitchers that we saw that didn't give up any runs in the district tournament. Okay, you have my attention.
And I wouldn't be surprised if South Range makes that trip a little bit early to catch the last couple innings of that game to try to scout both teams.
I would want to make that trip like from day one and from the first inning and say
the problem is South Range is still in school, I think. Yeah, I think this is their finals.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You're not going to leave at 3 o'clock to go to Maslin. You're
leaving early no matter what.
Yeah, so
But
you might as well leave
how
early.
they can leave? Early.
Yeah, I mean, does school end, Friday? Is that the last day?
When I was at South Range, they went later than almost anybody else because they started after the fair.
Yeah.
But I think this is their finals week. I'm going to have to text Paul Munson and see.
Well, I know that they had school today because I drive past South Range High School every single morning.
Do you wave?
Oh, of course. Hello, South Range. You don't like me from what I said last fall, but hey, that's okay.
You see Coach Yegley in the
sideline? So he's giving me one of the, you again. No. We're going to let that one go because that was just such, oh, Lord. All right, so South Range is playing Gilmore Academy at Maslin at 5 o'clock. And again, the first game is Berkshire against Canton Central Catholic at 2 o'clock. And that's just going to be a great game. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Back up in Maslin, Washington, which hosts so much.
Yeah.
They hosted the Division I softball regionals. Normally, they host the Division III softball regionals as well. This year, because of everything, they didn't want to host both, so obviously Division III got moved to YSU. Host the baseball regional. It's just a great place.
I've never seen their baseball facilities, but if it's anything like their football facilities, it's got to be first class. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll see a really good regional tournament with 4 pretty good teams. It's earn your way out of the region. All of our teams that are left, there's some good, really good regional tournament baseball that's about to be played. I like Kennedy's chances against Columbia, especially if Hollabaw's pitching the first game. And again, this is where don't overthink this. Just throw your ace in the regional semifinals. You can't gamble like you did in the districts because you don't have those type of teams anymore. You got to throw your ace.
Sometimes it goes beyond matchups because I'd hate to harp on Ursuline because I don't think it was a bad decision to not throw Emily Holland. I just think it backfired a little bit, but it was done because the matchup kind of favored Paige Ogden a little bit. You look at South Range scouting report; they struggle with off speed. They struggle with slower pitchers. Paige Ogden has a really good changeup, off speed. South Range came in ready for it, waiting on the changeup, and hit Paige a little bit hard. Home run in the first inning, But that was like Emily Holland's their number one. But they got a little bit caught up in the analytics, and I don't think it was a bad decision.
This is why analytics doesn't work.
Like they got caught up in the scouting report, and they said, "Okay, this is a better matchup." I'm sure Coach Hernan's plan was to get an early lead, throw Ogden for maybe 3 innings, and then put Emily Holland in to finish the game.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work out that way.
You don't overthink it.
So
just don't overthink it. You got your ace, use your ace.
Right.
Don't overthink it. Because there's no tomorrow.
If it would have worked, Coach Hernan would have been in.
Well, of course, but
that's the hard part about making decisions in sports.
Yeah, but you just can't overthink things like this. I mean, and this is where I just struggle with the whole analytics crap.
And I'm very careful of criticizing coaches' decisions because at the end of the day, they spend every day with those players. They know the team way more than me or you or anybody really knows them. So if they're feeling it that day or they feel like this pitcher's really ready to go, whatever it may be, like I could sit here and say, well, it might not have been the best, but they're obviously making the best decision they can make to try to put their team in the best position.
And the other advantage, the enormous advantage that we have is the hindsight being 2020. It's always 2020. But
and I'll be honest, I came into that booth and I told Billy Mack, I said, I bet they'll start Paige Ogden. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
But I would have been just as,
I'm just one of these people that's like, okay, who's my ace? Okay, you're going.
Right.
You're my best pitcher. We're gonna go to the dance with what has brought us to the dance to this point.
And that's what
Let's go.
It comes to focusing on yourself more than the other team's scouting report.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to throw my best, and if it's into your strength a little bit, I don't care. It's still my best.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it goes down into.
Yeah, I just scouting reports are wonderful to have. Analytics are good to have, but at the end of the day, you go to your game with the best that you got, and that's the end of that. I'm a firm believer in using an ace. When the ace is there, you use the ace. That way you don't have any questions. If you lose, you've lost with your best. No questions asked. You've got nothing to be ashamed of.
There's a reason you have the ace up your sleeve.
Well, exactly. You got to use it. So we'll see what transpires in the regional
unless you're
tournaments.
Canfield, then you have 3 aces that you can just decide who's the better matchup because they're all phenomenal.
Well, I mean, look, Canfield.
Blessed with riches.
Yeah, when you have the ridiculous amount of talent,
then you can
on the mound,
dive into scouting report.
Yeah, but
they're all good.
Exactly. But it's, you get this far in the tournament, don't overthink it. Just throw your ace because you're not promised tomorrow. Nobody is. Not even in life, you're not promised tomorrow. Don't want to get philosophical, but but it's true. You're not promised tomorrow.
Diving will be permitted in this episode.
Yeah, so you get you got to throw your ace. If if it's a winner moves on, loser goes home, I'm throwing my ace because if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose with the best I got on the mound. Where it's pitching is a huge part of the game. It's some people would say it's 90%. In baseball, it is. It's 90% of the game. If I have got my number one starter available in the biggest game to this point, and the narrative is you have to win this game to go to the next round, I'm going with my ace because I cannot assume that I'm going to win with whatever my 2 or 3 starter is and then save my ace. You're saving your ace for what, 2022? Because if you lose, you get a lot of questions, and rightfully so. You get a lot of questions, so it's just don't overthink it. But this is going to be fun. This is good Lord. You got 5 local teams, 4 YSN teams in the baseball regionals, and I expect we're going to have at least one regional championship game. I think that we could get all 4 of these teams in the regional championship. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I like Kennedy's chances if Hollabaugh is pitching the first game. I really like Kennedy's chances. So, and I think Matthews can beat Tiffin Calvert. South Range could beat Gilmore. I know these 2 teams played earlier in the year. Gilmore beat them 4-2, but like you said, Mikos wasn't pitching, and that's a little bit of an advantage for South Range in that Gilmore never saw Mr. Mikos. So I don't think Mikos will give up 4 runs against Gilmore.
South Range's offense has found a little groove. I mean,
Exactly.
That was during a spot in the season where they were slowing down a little bit, but their offense has found a little bit of
Now, the other part of this is, did South Range see Gilmore's ace in that game?
I don't know. I don't know if they threw their ace or not.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they did,
then
that's the other advantage. You get an opportunity to see this guy a second time, and that's advantageous to South Range as well. So, this is going to be fun. This is what it's all about. I mean, get a couple more wins, and you get to play in a minor league stadium, and that's pretty cool. So.
And the saying is, you're playing for 2 more practices and 1 more game.
That's it.
You more time with your teammates, more time as a family, and that's what it's about in high school.
Well, and look, we have not had a shutout.
Although in baseball, you won't get another practice because you play the next day.
Yeah. We don't get shut out very often in baseball in the state semifinals. So, and I know 2020 was a no-show.
Hey, it's also another year in softball.
Yeah, and we don't get shut out in softball very often, and we're not getting shut out again in softball. So it's hopefully we will get a baseball team into the state semifinals as well. Hopefully we get multiple teams into the state semifinals. Give you guys an opportunity to do a game from Canal Park over in Akron at the home of the Rubber Ducks. Good Lord, that place is gorgeous.
We'll bring our Rubber Ducks too.
Yeah, that's a fantastic place.
Right next to our setup, we'll have a Rubber Ducky.
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic place. It's one of my favorite AA ballparks. It's a fantastic facility. I think that the facility is much better from a broadcasting standpoint than Huntington Park in Columbus. You get your own room, which is great. I think it's a perfect location for the state tournament as well.
You know, it's really cool, too. If South Range wins on Thursday, then they'll play Friday at 5, so Raider fans can just spend their whole day in Akron, go watch the softball team at 10 a.m., maybe go get lunch somewhere.
Head down to Massillon.
It's only like 15 minutes away from the Akron Firestone Stadium.
Yeah, it's 15, 20 minutes, and get yourself from Akron to Massillon.
Better than going all the way back home and then going all the way back home.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
so hopefully South Range boys can get it done against Gilmore Academy. And if they do, then we're looking at a all-day event for the South Range faithful. They can watch the South Range girls play at Firestone Stadium Friday morning at 10 a.m. and then make it an all-day affair. Perhaps go to the Hall of Fame, which is now open.
Right.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame is open, so you can get a few hours in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and then make a trip, 10 minutes to Massillon. So, yeah, it's not too shabby.
Take a minute to go into the Hall of Fame at Firestone Stadium, too,
Oof.
and see the softball history. And
Boy, no kidding.
Because it's not a lot of people know about it. It's in that little tunnel that goes through the stadium.
Yeah.
But you can just go in there and see the history of all the softball and some baseball that has been played in the history at Firestone Stadium.
That place, I didn't realize how historic Firestone Stadium was. That place has housed some pretty impressive talent in softball.
When you can say Babe Ruth played on that field.
Yeah.
Back in the I forget what the league was called back then, but when you can say he stepped on that dirt, as a baseball fan, that gives you chills.
Oh, sure.
And then when you can list the softball names that have played on that dirt, all the softball girls, it's surreal to play on there. Like Jenny Finch won an MPF championship in that circle, and you can just go, what?
Yeah, no, it's the place has it's an older stadium, but it has character. I love the older stadiums.
And you've broadcasted there. You sit right in the middle.
Yeah,
so you're on both sides, fans everywhere.
Oh yeah,
you really get into it.
It's a really cool facility. It's a great venue for state softball. I think the OHSAA, pardon the pun, they've hit a home run with this one because Akron should have the baseball and softball tournaments.
There's really nowhere else you could put it, and for softball at least. There's no other stadium. It's just a perfect place for a state.
Yeah, and I think that you leave the baseball state tournaments in Akron at Canal Park. It's just a great venue. It really is a great venue. You can have the football state championships at Tom Benson Stadium at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You leave the baseball and softball venue in Akron. You can play the volleyball and basketball championships down in Dayton.
Because volleyball is going to be at Wright State still, I believe, and then basketball both will be at Dayton. And then you still have soccer in Columbus, so you're still getting some.
Yeah, exactly. Listen,
track will still be in Columbus.
Honest to God, I was kind of on the basketball, but holy smokes, that facility in Dayton is gorgeous.
Dana talked about it during basketball season. Not only was it gorgeous, but they wanted it.
Yeah,
they were excited about having it. They ran it well, and it's better than just another place that just kind of, we'll take it, and whatever.
Yeah,
you just do what when you put effort into hosting it, and you want it there, and you put on a good show. It makes it a lot better, a lot more worth the money that you're paying to rent that space.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like the OHSAA has homes now.
Where's cross country run their state?
I think in Columbus.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say Columbus.
And then
but
I think tennis is in Columbus, right?
Yeah.
They just had that a couple weeks ago. Wrestling's still in Columbus.
Golf is in Columbus on the Scarlet
Columbus
and Gray courses.
Still has a bunch of stuff that gets to go to Columbus. But there are some things that geographically are better suited for Akron and for Dayton because of the facilities that are there. So
yeah, I like
you can't be central for every sport.
Yeah, I like where the football and the baseball and softball championships are being held right now. I really like where the basketball championships are being held, and I think Columbus can have their take with soccer, where the former stadium of the Columbus Crew. I think that's a great venue for the soccer championships.
We do have several runners that are getting ready to go to Columbus this weekend.
Yeah,
so.
no kidding. And we're going to get to those later in the week because there's a lot of them.
Mr. B still goes down there to do the announcing there too, right?
Yes, he does.
Awesome.
Yes, he does.
I got a chance. He went over to Fitch and did the PA for the districts.
He's the iconic one.
And as soon as you hear that, you're like, that's Mr. B.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it because we were at Austintown Fitch. I was like, what's he doing here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, anytime he goes into a venue and opens up the microphone, you know it's him.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
Yeah. So when Larry Scragg and I were doing Rebels basketball games, whether it was the guys or the gals, we don't say anything. We do our stuff. We do the first break. And coming out of the break, we don't say a word. We just turn it over to Mr. B and let him do his thing.
What I've learned about because I've done Crestview basketball too, there's no point because you can't even hear yourself talk because they're amping people up with the music and Mr. B's pretty loud himself.
Yeah.
So there's no point in trying to go over lineups while he's doing it anyway.
Oh no, it's
much more advantageous to just turn up the mic.
Yeah, but it's so cool to listen to him do the lineups, and kudos to Crestview because I think they're the only venue that does the starting lineups for JV games as well, which please,
gives them
more schools need to do that. More schools really need to do the PA announcing and do the starting lineups for both teams in JV games.
I've said it before. He is the only high school announcer that I've been to that says, if you're able, stand for it, which I appreciate a lot, because sometimes when I get to the gym early and I always sit in the stands, people don't know that I can't, so I get the looks.
Yeah.
Why aren't you standing? Well, but so I just like the if you're. It's one of those things that it's a little, but it means a lot.
Now the only thing that was kind of funny, during the pandemic, instead of saying please stay 6 feet from, he was going centimeters on people. I'm like, what the hell is?
Did we just get
Did we just go into the metric system? What the hell is going on here? Please stay 180 centimeters with. What?
He's trying to. We have a Canadian family that's.
Oh no! Listen, the people that listened in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, were quite impressed when Mr. B said that. So, but I would chuckle every time he'd say that. I'm like, so this is 6 feet. For you people that are not aware of how many centimeters are in 6 feet.
I love that the concession stands weren't open, but he would list off all the nearby restaurants that you can go get food.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a good Arby's down the day.
And there's a lot of really good venues here. Like, of course, you're going to probably have to have your ticket, and if your hand is stamped, you're going to need that before you come in here. Otherwise, you're going to be paying again. Hey, I'm just glad that we're getting through this.
We have full capacity starting today.
Indeed.
So
yeah, I was able to go to.
We should count ourselves lucky that it only lasted a year.
Exactly.
There have been a lot of other things in America's history that last a lot longer.
Amen. I was able to go to the Duke and Duchess over in Columbiana, the BP station, because I had to pick up something, and I was able to go in there without a mask. And I was like, we're finally starting to come back to some sense of normalcy, which, good stuff. And we're now finally going to get full capacity, I'll tell you who's happy, and that's the people up at Eastwood Field in Niles. They finally get to sell all of their tickets and not just 2,000.
I never knew how much I missed crowds at a sport until I was when I did the Firestone game, it was a full house. So until you're in it and you get that adrenaline high of that energy, you don't realize how much you've missed it, and it was real fun.
Yeah, I when I go up and see the Indians this summer, it's going to be fun to watch a full capacity crowd. I'm not going to worry about the whole.
Because it's the Indians.
Full capacity. None of you idiots can sell that stadium out anymore. But or more importantly, when I go see the Bills play this fall, it's going to be full capacity at whatever the hell the stadium is called now. You got to be feeling
pretty good because the Indians are on pace for more than 85 wins.
Oh, was there any doubt?
Well, there was a lot of doubt when you
said. Well, I mean, you said there was going to be some doubt. I mean, there's some injury problems right now with the team. I mean, we still don't have Franmil Reyes.
Someone else just got put on the injured list too, right?
Oh yeah.
I forget him.
Plesac.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because Plesac angrily took off his shirt and broke his thumb.
I couldn't believe that I read that headline right.
Yeah.
Like he broke his thumb on his shirt.
Yeah.
Because he was taking it off.
Because he was taking it off in an angry way. He was pissed off, and he pulled it off, and the thumb was still caught in the shirt. While he pulled it off like this, right. And his thumb was caught in it, and it jerked it to where it's fractured.
Because the chair got on the chair.
Yeah. I mean,
that is the most unlucky thing.
No, it's
ever. Like,
no, it's called grow up.
I know, but still, like, how many people can say they broke their thumb on a shirt getting snagged on a chair?
Well,
that's like some Final Destination stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, it's at some point you're just gonna be like, dude, just grow up.
I would have been like, can you alter that headline and just tell them I broke my thumb like wrestling a bear from a 9-year-old or something?
Yeah, or just say that you say that you pounded something and
at least it's not a drone.
Yeah, well, that's true. Oh,
looking at you, Trevor Bauer.
Yeah. Oh, we're not going to win the World Series because some dumbass decided to play with his drone.
I can't believe.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Broke your thumb on a shirt. I've
never seen that before. It can only happen to the Indians.
That's just a Cleveland thing.
Yeah,
that's like that exemplifies.
It just is. I mean. You know, they haven't won a World Series title since 1948.
That's the mistake.
Oh gosh, unbelievable. And I saw the over under on the NFL numbers came out today.
How about
Cleveland? Cleveland is at 10.5.
Not bad.
Your Chiefs are, what was it, 12.5
for over under wins?
Yeah. 12.5 or 13.5.
It's hard to win 12 games.
It's either 12.5 or 13.5. Buffalo was an even 11, which surprises me because if you want to make money, you have to have a half in there. In order to make money, you have to have a half in there.
I don't know if I would. 12 is hard. Like, even if you're a really good team, you have to have some breaks to get 12 wins. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but based on what they have, I mean, as long as Mahomes doesn't get hurt. You should be able to get 13.
I keep saying, like, we haven't seen teams win back-to-back AFC championships since you guys.
Yeah.
It's as hard.
It is hard. But that doesn't mean that you can't win 13 or 14 regular season games.
I'm so weary that this is going to be like a one down year in Mahomes' career where he doesn't, like, maybe win 10 games or something. I'm scared of this third year for some reason.
The one, and I thought a little bit about this.
I think that Super Bowl hurt our mystique a little bit.
The one thing, and I thought a little bit about this, because Kansas City's halfway to achieving what Buffalo did in the early 90s. The third and fourth time of getting through the AFC was probably the most difficult.
Because teams are like twice as motivated to beat.
Exactly. Exactly. People are now like, oh, God. And in Buffalo's case, it was like, you get your ass kicked every Super Bowl. We have to get someone in here that
you continue to go through the toughest schedule in the NFL because you won the AFC.
Exactly, and everyone's going to take their best shot against you.
At some point, teams are just sick of you, and they're just going to throw caution to the wind and throw everything at you.
Sure.
So,
and we'll see. I mean, I still think Kansas City's the best team in the AFC, and they're the favorites, and they should be the favorites. They have not given any indication that they're any worse than the last couple of years. They're the best team in the AFC. Hopefully, what Buffalo did in the offseason is going to be good enough to do a little bit better. But we'll see. I mean, and the wild card in all of this is Julio Jones. We still don't know where Julio Jones is going to land.
Right.
If he goes to Baltimore, all of a sudden you look at Baltimore and you're like, this is tough.
Does he have a chance to land in Cleveland?
I mean, look, if as a Bills fan, if someone told me, "Hey, Julio Jones, do you want him?" I would be stupid to say no. Of course you want Julio Jones. He's one of the elite receivers. And he only played 9 games last year, but that was the first time he's ever been hurt. This is an elite receiver. This is the best of the best of the best. hell yes, I would want Julio Jones. Now, what do you have to give up for him? Well, now that's where it comes into play.
You can make an argument that he's not a big upgrade from OBJ, but everyone else on that roster, even as good as Landry is, Julio Jones is better.
I wouldn't trade Landry, though.
No, I'm just saying, like, he upgrades your wide receiver room, even if you have to give up anyone.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and I think he's a huge upgrade from OBJ. I think it would be a huge upgrade. Because he doesn't drop the balls like OBJ does.
Off the field, yes, but statistically, probably not. I mean, you look at OBJ's statistics, I don't think he's had a year in his career where he hasn't had 1,000 yards receiving.
He's one.
Now that's
one, but he's also dropped a lot of passes.
The caveat to that is he spent most of his career in New York, where he was the only receiver to go to.
True, that's true. Look, if I were Cleveland, and the Atlanta Falcons said, "Give us OBJ and a second-round pick, we'll give you Julio Jones." I couldn't do that fast enough.
Imagine if you had OBJ and Jones on two sides, and neither one of them could be double covered because you'd have to.
Yeah, I'm not an OBJ guy. I'm not an OBJ guy. I'm not. If I were the Browns and Atlanta said, "Hey, give us OBJ in the second round draft pick next year for Julio Jones," done.
Here's what I'll say about OBJ: as soon as he steps on the field, and Julio Jones the same way, he demands the other team's respect, which is going to open up the rest of your passing game.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, like, not a lot of receivers demand that respect. They're a handful. But OBJ is one of them that, like, when you have to say, this guy's not beating us ever. We're going to make sure of it.
Yeah, I suppose. But it goes back to your point. The reason why he had so many yards was because he was the only go-to guy with the Giants. I mean, who else were you going to throw the ball to? You know, I mean, Cruz was nice, but I mean, OBJ was the guy. He's not even the best receiver on his team right now. Landry's better than OBJ. So I think if you were to have Landry on one side, Hollywood Higgins in the slot, and Julio Jones on the other side, yeah, that's frightening. And oh, by the way, a really good offensive line. And oh, by the way, the best running back tandem in the National Football League. Even a mediocre quarterback can win with this talent. And Baker's not mediocre.
Baker's a notch above
mediocre. Baker's not great, but Baker's not mediocre. So if you were to do that, oh, God, I'd do that in a heartbeat and just say, okay, now I'm ready to play with the big boys. And I think they would be ready to play with the big boys if they did that.
Julio.
I mean, do you have the cap space to do it? Well, I think you would if you traded OBJ to Atlanta. But does Atlanta want someone like that? Probably not. They're probably like
Atlanta has enough problems.
Atlanta's trying to get rid of money. That's why they're trading Julio Jones away. They don't want money coming back to them. That's probably why Cleveland's not going to get Julio Jones. Although I did see the Bills saved up like $8 million worth of cap.
This is scary for me, but what if the Chargers get Julio Jones?
Oh my God, that turns the AFC West into just a great division.
Because Herbert had a pretty decent rookie season.
I'll go to bat with him. Yeah, yeah. You give him one more weapon to throw to. Ooh. Yeah, that becomes a fun division again.
Evans and Julio Jones.
Yeah. Now Julio Jones in Las Vegas would be kind of fun too. But we'll see. Julio Jones may wind up in Seattle, and then you can have Russell Wilson.
Be like,
yeah, and he's going to be like, they love me. They really love me.
Where Julio Jones should go. I mean, he should go to the Packers.
Well, exactly. I mean, if the Packers were smart, they would get Julio Jones and say, "Hey, Brett," or not Brett. Well, Aaron was much like Brett. Hey, Aaron, here's your guy.
Now it's starting to be like do you think Green Bay brings out the divas in people because of something in their culture? Because that's two quarterbacks in a row now that have morphed into this, oh my gosh, almost annoying type personality. And like Brett wasn't like that at the beginning of his career.
No.
He turned into that.
Yeah.
And same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He's kind of turned into that.
I don't know if it's the culture there.
Is there something in the water?
Well, I mean, it's Title Town for a reason. I mean, prior to the Super Bowl, they won more championships than any organization.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe there is something about that.
Like if Jordan Love starts to get a drama queen attitude, then we know that.
Well, he has to prove himself to be somewhat of a decent player before we even think about that. But no, if I'm Green Bay, I'd take Julio Jones in a heartbeat.
They don't look at receivers ever.
No, they don't look at offensive talent.
I can't name 3 great receivers that Aaron Rodgers has had.
Donald Driver.
Greg Jennings. I don't know if he had Donald Driver.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
he left before Brett did.
Yeah, that's true.
Greg Jennings?
He's not great.
I mean,
Rodgers made him great. It's kind of like Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't have a lot of talent around him either. It's weird. I don't get it. We got golf to talk about. Brian Tolnar is coming up in a bit.
We have Jason Kokorak to talk about.
Yeah, we do have Jason Kokorak to talk about. Both of us picked him to win last weekend, and lo and behold, he won.
So I wasn't here, and you guys both picked
exactly.
to win. Oh,
yeah, no kidding. We'll talk Memorial. It's Jack Nicklaus's tournament. That's coming up in a bit with Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek. Stick around.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we go the extra mile for you.
By finding you the right vehicle at the right price.
And by being with you for every mile of your journey.
Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and tell us how we can go the extra mile for you.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
All right, welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. And it's a little after 1. It's time to bring in the golfing guru, the man who runs Mill Creek. We're going to talk Memorial Tournament, Jack's events this week. Brian Tolnar joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Brian, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing awesome. You know it's good when the PGA Tour is coming back to Ohio, so it's always a good time of the year.
And we need to remind Anthony that while he was not here, we both decided to pick a winner last week.
You know what? When he's not around, all we do is pick winners. So I don't know if there's a common denominator in there or what the deal is. But
listen to what he listen to this beef he has to his quote attorney here.
Oh man. Well, you know what? Golf is a fickle creature, and it has turned the tables on me. I usually pick a winner, and they win the next week. So.
Oh man, it's good to see a hometown guy get an opportunity to pick up his second win and become a multiple winner on the PGA Tour. Jason Kokorak played a hell of a week, 65, 65, 66, and 70, just a solid campaign from start to finish. Held off the home favorite, Jordan Spieth, down the Colonial Country Club, but what a great victory. And, one of the reasons why I think we both picked him last week is just how accurate he is off the tee. Not only with accuracy, but he has plenty of length to really overpower some of the long par fours down there. And he really did that, tee to green all week long. Hit a ton of fairways and really tore up that back nine. He owned the back nine at Colonial this past week. And it's just great to see him back in the winner's circle and what he does for the game of golf at the Mahoning Valley.
All right, Brian, you talked a little bit about this off the air a couple of days ago. This is a win that means so much for Jason in terms of what he is now able to do in terms of tournament appearances. Explain the ramifications of winning the Charles Schwab Challenge at the Colonial for Jason.
Yeah, the Charles Schwab Challenge is one of 5 events, as this week is in Muirfield down at Muirfield Village, where it's what they call an invitational event. So it's an upper echelon event where they allow anywhere between 100 to 120 players, depending upon what the tournament wants at their showing. Normally you're 144 to 156 players at any given PGA Tour tournament. So, to get in and get some status at these invitational events, of which there are 5, you have to be doing something well. You have to be, at the top of your game in the FedEx Cup, the World Golf Rankings. You have to do well in the majors. You have to play, very consistent. For him to be able to get in that tournament was a big deal to begin with, and to be able to win that gives him a 5-year exemption on the PGA Tour. He gets, in the WGC events. He gets in the rest of the invitational events as well. He moves to number 5 in the FedEx Cup, so he's in good position. You get more points at these events for FedEx Cup points to put himself in that top 30 come FedEx Cup playoff time when we hit the month of September. So anytime that you can win a WGC, a World Golf Championship event, an invitational event, or a major event, those are by far your upper echelon events on the PGA Tour, where the field is the very, very best. From start to finish is impeccable to do on the PGA Tour, but it comes with a plus side of exemptions and money and everything else that comes along with it, and it boosts your career from a average player on the PGA Tour to an upper echelon player on the PGA Tour to be able to win and beat that type of a field. So he's going to move up in the Ryder Cup rankings. He's definitely moved up in the FedEx Cup point standing. So he's putting himself in very good position, considering, the top 4 or 5, come September in the FedEx Cup really control their own destiny if they win a time or two or they play consistent for 3 or 4 events during the FedEx Cup playoffs. So, you're talking, the annual bonus that gets paid out. They get an additional $10 million for the person who wins the FedEx Cup. To be in that spot and to be able to win twice in basically 17 weeks on the PGA Tour is pretty impressive. So both of his wins go on the same season because of the PGA Tour's wraparound season. So he's in really good shape. I think there's only 1 or 2 guys that have won multiple times this year. So, having done that and playing well in the events that he has is huge for Jason right now. And, obviously not playing this week at the Memorial, but, preparing himself for the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines in a couple weeks. He took 2 weeks off, prior to the PGA Championship, played 2 weeks. So I think he's found a winning combination of how he's going to play and get the best out of his game. And it has worked up to this point. So, I'm excited to see where he goes, whether it's a week or two off before, heading to Torrey Pines for the U.S. Open. It's going to be a special summer for Jason. There's no doubt, to really elevate the bar. Not that he had a big bar to elevate, because anytime you went on the PGA Tour, you're beating the world's best. But to be able to do it in one of these upper echelon invitational events, just raises that bar a little bit more, and puts him in the driver's seat to making a good run come FedEx Playoff Cup times, and then making some of that additional income that comes along with it. So, it could be more proud for him, and proud that he's from here and is playing extremely well right now. But he's in a great position as a player.
And the calendar is officially turned to June. And looking at your Mill Creek schedule, you guys have June takes up more of the page than any other month of the year. An exciting June for you guys. Talk a little bit about a preview of the month of June and some of the exciting things that you guys will be having at Mill Creek Park in this month.
It is, as the kids leave school for the summer. That jumps into junior golf camp season. We've got PGA Junior League underway on Tuesday evenings. We've got some matches that'll start between the area clubs on Friday the 11th. On the 4th, this coming Friday, we have the Junior Optimist East Coast Regional. So we'll have them folks here in town Thursday, Friday. In addition to that, we've got the Austintown Fitch Boosters Gridiron on Saturday, which is a new golf outing for us this year. And then we've got our junior camp coming up on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. And then we have the Northern Ohio PGA coming in on the 18th, doing their 18-hole junior tour in what they call a 9-hole Pups Tour, which is for kids 10 years old and younger. So we'll have kids from 5, 6 years old going out to play and compete. And then the following week is our pinnacle event, the national event, the AJGA Junior All-Star. Owning Valley Hospital Foundation is our title sponsor for that. They're in their final year of their sponsorship. So we've got some exciting stuff with that. And then the following week, definitely no rest for the weary. We have the Greatest Golfer Par 3 Marathon at the Par 3 on the 28th, which is the last Monday of the event. And then we follow that up with the Greatest Golfer Junior Edition on the 29th. So extremely busy month when it comes to junior golf, and it comes to getting kids involved in playing. Our junior camp is sold out at the moment with a waiting list of about 11 or 12 kids. And we've extended the window there by, about 12 more players. So we have some volunteers helping us with that event this year. So, it's exciting to get kids involved, and it's exciting to get them adapted to the game of golf as school's completed here this week. So, between that and the outings and things that we've got going on the weekends, June is a very compact month with events heading into that summer stretch of July and August that is just filled as well. But it's a good kickstart, as the kids, get out of school, and giving them some opportunities to play some competitive golf is what we're here to do. So between the Par 3 League and the Pittsburgh Penguins deck hockey up at the Wick Recreation area, and our soccer camp and league that's going on up there. We've got adult hockey. There's just a lot of good things brewing in the park. Opened the boathouses up. That's under our wing of recreation and golf. So we've got Glacier open this past weekend. And hopefully, we'll have some staffing to get Newport open here in the upcoming weeks. But it's been like pulling teeth to find staff for positions that we normally have 30 or 40 people applying for. This year, I think we've had like 3 or 4. So it's been tough from that aspect. But, getting the camps and the clinics and the junior leagues and the adult leagues and volleyball and softball and baseball and all the things that we want to do here underway primarily is going to be, kicking off during the month of June and continuing all through fall. And, we're talking about adding some things in September and October, possibly doing a Mill Creek flag football. So we're excited about that, doing some other stuff in-house as well, maybe adding a supplemental soccer camp or a fall league as well with that, because the popularity from our spring league has been off the charts. And, we've got the interest level there, so we're going to try to capitalize on that. But from the golf perspective, we're heading into the busy season, which is the fun season that you prepare so hard for during the months of December, January, and February, and March. So it's exciting to have everything come to fruition. The COVID restrictions obviously being lifted are huge, and getting people back, although it really hasn't stopped anybody from playing because the numbers have been through the roof. We kind of picked up where we left off last year, which is exciting. But we want to continue the momentum, and I always want to say you want to maintain what you did last year, but I'm maintain in my vocabulary is a dirty word because you're just content with doing what you did last year. You always want to raise that bar a little bit higher and higher each year, and you don't want to get complacent. So, if we can, come a little bit above what we did in June, July, August, and September, it's going to be a very powerful year financially again, and, that leads to, capital improvements across the board with golf and the recreation department. So, we're always pressing for a number, but if we can keep elevating and raising the quality and the expectation level, I think we're in pretty good shape for continued success and capital improvements and good things to come.
Brian Tilnar from Mill Creek joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Okay, so a local kid winds up winning over $1 million in a weekend. The purses with golf have been outrageously great. And that's you can attribute that to Tiger and the popularity. Are you seeing a lot of parents bringing their kids to get some golf classes as a dual thing of, okay, we don't want our kid getting hurt, whether it be on the gridiron, whether it be on a basketball court, whether it be on a baseball diamond. We're going to have our kid play golf competitively in hopes that player can be good enough when he becomes an adult to be on the PGA Tour and play for that kind of money on a weekly basis. Are you seeing more of the parents moving their kids away from the potentially violent team sports to play the much less violent game of golf?
I think certainly golf lends itself to its safety. It's safe. There's no concussions. There's no major injuries that come along with it. So I think people sort of gravitate towards that aspect of the game. I think maybe not so much for the PGA Tour, but I think as you get kids involved in the game, from a networking perspective and longevity, it's a sport and a game that you can play up until you're 100 years old. So pretty much you can play the game for a lifetime. I think that's part of it, and I also think part of it too is having the opportunity to get a scholarship. Maybe not Division I, but Division II and Division III. There's plenty of opportunities out there to lessen the burden on a family's financial aspect of getting a scholarship at Division I, II, or III school to be able to play golf. I'll use girls for example. Division II and Division III schools have a heck of a time filling their lineups and rosters for players to be able to field a team. So the scholarship opportunities are huge in both not only Division I but II and III as well. So there's plenty of opportunity out there, and you can be a mid-range player and still be able to reap some of the benefits, the financial benefits of taking advantage of a scholarship or some academic opportunities, to get into some of these colleges or universities. And I think that's probably the biggest play on the game of golf. To be that star athlete and blue chip athlete in basketball or baseball or football, rosters, all over the country are limited to a certain amount of players. So to be able to make that jump where golf, you have the opportunity to make any roster Division I, II, or III if you put the time. So I think that has a little bit to do with it too. Plus, the longevity of the game. You can literally play golf with your parents forever. You can play golf with your cousins, your buddies, and there's a group of athletes that I grew up with in Hubbard. We played basketball, we played baseball, we played everything under the sun, and made up games and sports to play. And all of them chose a different path, whether it's football, and I chose golf and basketball and the whole 9 yards, but in the end, we're all still playing golf together. So, it's nice to be able to still play that sport. And a couple of those athletes are like, yeah, my knees are shot or my shoulders, torn up. I wish I'd have chose this sport, to not have this injury, later down the road. Plus, I think, just to be able to hang out with your buddies and the ability to go out and play golf, I think longevity is huge as well. So I think there's a little bit of that behind, the gravitation towards golf. But golf, in its entirety, since Tiger's win in 19 at the Masters, Phil's win at the PGA Championship this year, and seeing Jason Kokorak and seeing the young guns play on the PGA Tour and the Ricky Fowlers of the world, certainly make it a popular, fun sport to be able to play. And what we saw during COVID is certainly a lot of folks are gravitating either back to the game or coming into the game as new beginners. And, from a lesson standpoint, we've never been busier than, and that's after taking a year off of not being able to give lessons with COVID last year. So, you could literally stand on a lesson tee for 10 lessons a day right now based on the three of us that are teaching our staff. So, the people coming to the game and the people gravitating to the sport is unbelievable. And I think, our goal, and I think I said this before, our biggest goal this year was, really retention, keeping those folks that have come back to the game or have gotten involved in the game, keeping them involved, because those are your customers down the road. Those are who's going to come in your golf shop and buy equipment and shoes and so on. They're going to hang out and have a meal after the round at hole 55. And the same goes with the area country clubs and public facilities. You want to be that one-stop shop for golf, for entertainment, the driving range, instruction, being able to buy merchandise, hanging out, having a beer or having a pop or having a hamburger after your round. And if we can incorporate that all into one location and make it, to the point where it's affordable, like our family golf nights on Friday and Saturday evenings for $25 for a family of four to come out and play, basically unlimited golf. It makes the game more accessible to every background, every diversity across the board. And that's what I really enjoy about the game, bringing everybody into a game that you can play generationally, as opposed to, hey, I only maybe had the opportunity to play 8th grade football through my senior year. Well, now you can play this sport for your life, the rest of your life, which is awesome. So I think that's probably the biggest focus, scholarship opportunity to lighten the burden on families financially. It's an easy out to get a scholarship at Division 1, 2, or 3, depending upon the level of golfer that you are. There is that window and opportunity. So I think that's probably a huge portion of it as well. And safety certainly is too.
I got to ask before we start talking about the tournament coming up this week at Jack's Place. Speaking of Jason Kokorak, he wins the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial last weekend. Does that give him an exemption in terms of majors?
Yes, he gets in majors, absolutely. So that's why that tournament, if you're going to win a tournament on the PGA Tour, you definitely want it to be a WGC event, an invitational event, or a major, because those three give you the biggest bang for your buck for longevity. And I think he's probably over about $20 million in career earnings now, which is exceptional, and has 2 wins on the PGA Tour, albeit one is an invitational win. But I think he's in really good position going forward.
All right, it's a time that everyone looks forward to as we talk about the next PGA event on the schedule. Brian, what is your Power 5 and sleepers looking ahead to this weekend?
Well, this week's a little bit tougher, and the reason I say that is, anytime that you go, play Jack's Place, he's always tinkering with the golf course. And if you recall last year after they had the work day to replace the John Deere, and then they played 2 weeks down there. The Memorial was the following week before heading into the Open Championship, U.S. Open Championship. They started tearing up the golf course, so they redid basically every fairway, every green, and every tee on the entire property. They lengthened the golf course a little bit. They reshaped and reworked some of the holes. And the general layout and the mapping of the golf course is relatively close to being the same. But, as players get used to playing a facility, they all have notes in their yardage books, and they have notes how greens putt or the slopes and undulations are. With that being new, it's a clear slate for everybody this week. Having torn up the golf course, they literally rebuilt this golf course in a matter of about 10 months. Some of the pictures that I've seen are spectacular, and the way that Jack makes it tournament ready. So he's lengthened the golf course, number one. He's made the greens a little bit tougher, more receptive, and a little bit harder in some areas. The fairways, the layup positions of the par 5 are completely different than what the players are used to seeing. And most importantly, the greens are completely different, so they're not going to be what the players normally putt on. So I think, knowing that, obviously Jack Nicklaus golf courses, they're, from tee to green, fairways are more bowl-shaped. The greens are very shallow from back to front, and he likes to work the greens from left to right or right to left. really made for that high ball hitter, the guy that, built basically how Jack played the game. He hit, shots that you could hit, right edge, left edge of the fairway and still run and kick towards the center of the fairway. But his iron shots, he really put a big premium on it, similar to what Bobby Jones did with Augusta. He put a very good premium on the quality of iron strikers that he would have win the golf course by being precise. Jack is very similar, from a golf course designer when it comes to that. He wants a guy that fades it, so he hits a little bit left to right if you're a right-handed golfer. Shots, when they hit the green, they have to hit soft, and they have to have a lot of spin on it to be able to hold the greens because they are narrow from back to front. So a lot of what you saw at the PGA Championship a couple weeks ago where guys were running shots on or hitting the front of the green, chasing it back to a back left or back right pin is going to be vastly different because you don't have the area to chase shots coming to a Jack Nicklaus course. He wants you to bring it in high. He wants you to hit the shots that he designed the golf course for you to hit. So I think it's going to favor a guy that hits it extremely high into the greens, and it's somebody that doesn't necessarily have to bomb it off the tee, although that's a little bit of an advantage, to be able to shorten up the golf course, but to be able to hit fairways. He likes his rough extremely deep. Years past, he's combed the bunkers different, so the ball sits down in them. I'm not sure what he's going to do, when it comes to that, but the way the golf course is going to play, it's probably, if you look at your list of players, it's not going to favor the guys that it normally would. With that being said, I have some familiar names up there, but I also have some names that are, not normally on leaderboards and kind of go from there. So we'll start off with our sleepers this week. I'm going to start off with the Kent State grad Corey Connors. He's had a great year. He's been in our top 5 for a number of weeks now. I think he could break through, having played his home golf here in the state of Ohio at Kent State University. I think he's had some access to go down there and play some events. I like the way that he plays from tee to green. I think he gets a lot of fairways and a lot of greens, which is exactly what you're looking for when you go play a Jack Nicklaus designed golf course. And our other sleeper is going to be Matt Kucher, the 2013 champion. He's got probably 4 or 5 runner-ups down there. He's a top 10 machine in Columbus. He puts it extremely well. And doesn't necessarily bomb it off the tee, but he hits it low and he gets a lot of running tee shots. I think that could be an advantage for him this week, but he's got to hit a lot of greens to give himself those birdie opportunities. Starting out at number 5, Patrick Cantley. He's owned Muirfield Village, always plays well there. But again, you're playing a new golf course, so I think he channels of some of his good play there in the past, but it's going to be an unknown when you get on the greens this week because they're going to be sloping different than they have before. They're going to drain differently. They're just going to play completely differently. They're relatively new. I think there's an opportunity that they could be a little bit softer than normal. Any time that you plant new grass, you have to make sure that it's watered extremely well. So I think that the greens are going to be a little bit more receptive than we've seen. Coming in at number 4, John Rahm. Probably a golf course. It probably should be our number 1 pick this week, but it's a golf course that certainly fits John Rahm's game. He can overpower it off the tee. He hits it straight, similar to what Kokorak did last week at Colonial. This venue, Muirfield Village, is a perfect venue for his game. He's got a good short game. He putts it well. If he keeps it underneath the hole, which you have to do hitting into these greens because you're going to give yourself a lot of good birdie opportunities to be able to putt uphill. I think John Rahm is a pretty good contender this week. I think all the picks are pretty much primarily around Rory Mcilroy, who's our 3rd pick this week. He's very good with his driving accuracy this year. It's gotten much, much better. His putting has been sort of up and down. If he brings his A game with his putter, I think he'll be in contention this week. But he has to bring the good putter. So if he makes some putts, I think he'll do well. If he putts like he's been the last few weeks, it may be a dicey week for him as well. Coming in at number 2, Hideki Matsuyama, the 2014 champion. A guy that's very similar to our sleeper pick, Matt Kucher. Doesn't have extreme length off the tee, but he gets some low runners and he can keep himself in play. He gets a number of greens, which gives him a lot of opportunities at birdie. It's going to come down to putting for Hideki this week based on these are new greens for everybody. And I think our number 1 pick, Bryson DeChambeau, certainly has a ton of length to overpower the golf course. He's been known to do that down there. Since his amateur career, this is one of the few events that the U.S. Amateur gets invited, the British Amateur gets invited. Jack was very like Bobby Jones, not only in how he designed the golf course, his greens, but allowing access to amateurs and invitational, status to certain amateurs and some other professionals, I think is huge. So Bryson's had a number of years of playing there as a professional and as the U.S. amateur when he won that. So I think he's got a number of rounds under his belt. The way he's driving the ball and the way he's played the last couple weeks, I expect him to pick up a second win this year. And I just think he can certainly overpower the course. He hits the ball extremely high, which is what you're going to need this week in some of the variables from players' perspective. But those are my top 5 this week. Bryson DeChambeau's the go-to guy with Hideki Matsuyama at second, Rory Mcilroy at third, John Rahm at fourth, and Patrick Cantley at number 5 this week.
I am going to pick Colin Marakawa this week. I think he's played really well in the last couple of weeks. He ranks, I think, first on the tour in the last couple of weeks at leading in both strokes gained, tee to green, and greens regulation. And then I'm reading that he has more than 72% and gaining nearly 2 strokes in those statistics. He played decently at the PGA Championship. I think he finished 8th, tied for 8th. I'm feeling good about Colin's chances. I'm going to pick him.
Colin Marakawa and Victor Hovland are, to me, almost like identical players. They played together collegiately. They practice together. They seem to play well at the same venues. Both of those guys had enough fairways and enough greens to put themselves in contention. It's just getting that 4th round. They play 3 rounds extremely well. If they get that 4th round and they play well or can hang in there, I think they're both formidable candidates, going forward. But Colin's he's got some good odds, and I think he's a guy to talk about, and he's due to win another tournament on the PGA Tour.
Okay, before I give my winner, I got to let everyone know the fact that we both picked Kokorak, and I had Kokorak at 14 under in my contest. I was able to accumulate 100 points out of a possible 130, which you would think, it's a money. I have to be in the money. No, wasn't in the money. 110 was the cutoff for the money. I was like, what the hell? But nobody got 130. The winner wound up getting 125 points. So somebody did have Kokorak winning it. They just didn't have him winning it at 14 under. So having said that, I'm going through my picks in terms of who I have between 2 golfers, and then I'm going to go with my winner. I have John Rahm over Jordan Spieth. I have Rory McIlroy over Colin Marakawa. I have DeChambeau over Patrick Cantley. I have Jason Day over Ricky Fowler, which I might change that because Ricky has done pretty well at Jack's Place.
He's done well there, but Jason Day's a member there. So
okay.
That one's a toss-up. So that one, you're probably on the right line there with Jason Day, just because it's homeness and he's going to have more reps there than anybody. And he probably would be a great sleeper this week as well.
I have Victor Hovland over Justin Thomas. I have Hideki Matsuyama over Shane Lowry. I have Joaquin Niemann over Louis Oosthuizen. I have Xander Schauffele over Patrick Reed. Tony Finau over Cameron Smith. And Corey Connors over Matthew Fitzpatrick.
I like him. I think him.
Okay.
What's your target score?
I got 11 under.
11 under? This one's tough because traditionally about 15 under gets you into a playoff. 15, 13 under, somewhere around there. But the unknown is how they're going to play this golf course. So, it's going to be, is it going to play tougher? I would say probably a shot or 2 tougher. So I think you're probably pretty close with 11 or 12 under. 11 under should be okay based on the unknown of, the lengths are going to be different. The greens are going to putt completely different. It's like going to Augusta and playing on greens that you've not played at Augusta. So I think that's going to have a big advantage for the Jason Days who are members there and get to play there and do what they need to do. But the rest of the guys on the PGA Tour who haven't had reps on that course, which is 99% of the field, are certainly going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, and it's weird that we've picked the same golfer 2 weeks in a row. I've got DeChambeau winning this thing at 11 under.
You got him?
Yeah.
Hey, karma.
Yeah.
On the heater.
Yeah, it was interesting how you and I were talking over the weekend. It was like, oh my gosh, is this really going to happen? And it was exciting. It was really exciting to see that. And of course, I couldn't see it on TV because I'm broadcasting the Scrappers game, but I'm watching it on my iPhone. I couldn't watch the tournament, but I'm watching how each hole is playing out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to actually win this thing.
I'll tell you what was fun, and I don't get a chance to sit down and watch a lot of golf, just because we're busy and we've got a lot of stuff going on. But I caught like the last 6 holes of that, and it was fun to watch. It was just as fun as the week before with Phil winning. I mean, Jason made some putts when you needed to make a putt. He made a birdie when you had to have a birdie. He made a par putt when you needed to make a par putt. Coming down the stretch, and Spieth was kind of all over the place. It was just a fun tournament to watch, and to have a local person be able to do that, who you met and who you talked to, I think is pretty impressive. To be able to see them, to win on the PGA Tour for a second time. But I thought it was a pretty cool tournament to have a local win. There's no doubt.
Hey, before we get to your tip of the week, I got to ask, from a mechanic standpoint, Jason Kokorak recently came out with a much bigger putter. It's like a 36-inch putter. And it seems to have helped him out tremendously. Jason Kokorak is one of those kids that from 50 feet away, he gets the ball as close to the cup as I've ever seen anyone do it. And the fact that he's finally come up with a putter that he's comfortable with, it's like a light switch is turned on this year.
I think his lag putting from 30, 40, 50 feet, it's pretty much under 2 feet, almost a foot. Let him have a good shot of going in. I think that's just how well he's practiced, and he's got his putter dialed in. Jason's a big kid. He's tall. So, I mean, having a 36-inch putter would probably be where you would fit him. Tour statistics and data say, the shorter putter and using your arms a little bit more. But, it has to gel for you. It has to work for you. If you feel uncomfortable, using or setting up with a putter just because the stats tell you, it's different. I think everybody falls into that, from a technology standpoint. There are certain things that are very, very important when it comes to club fitting. But, when it comes to putting, it's more of a feel. And if you're doing something that's, from a putting standpoint that's very mechanical, I think you sort of lose the pace of how fast or how slow the greens are. Your putts aren't as crisp as they should be. So having a putter fit you the way that you like to stand over the ball, I think is vitally important. And I think, having a putter that's 36 inches, which is, an inch to 2 inches longer than your putter that you would grab off the rack at any golf shop, I think is a difference maker for him based on how tall he is. You have to bend over so far. And I think it's one of the reasons why he's played exceptionally well. He's chipped the ball better than he's ever chipped the ball, and he's putted the ball way, way better. And I think if there's only one thing that he could dial in a little bit better, he's got a golf ball that spins quite a bit. If you notice the last 6 or 7 holes, a lot of his shots landed by the pin and spun back quite a bit. If he could get a ball that lands and stays within 2 or 3 feet of where it hits when it hits the green and not spin so much, I think he'd have a lot more kick-ins. But he knows what the equipment's best for him. That would be the only knock. But the way he's been putting, the way he's been chipping has been exceptional all year. And I think it's been his strong suit and his savior to not only making cuts, but being in contention and getting the top 10s, the top 25s, and playing consistent from start to finish at each of these tournaments. So, the putting certainly has been a huge factor for him and his playing and being so solid.
Hey, Brian, it's DJ. First off, thank you for everything you're doing for us here as being the golf guru. But as the golf guru and as someone who has a complete new set of clubs minus the putter, talking about that putter, what would you recommend for a novice like myself?
Well, I think you're going to want something that's heel-toe balanced. And the reason I say that is if it's heel-toe balanced, it's going to be a very forgiving putter. If you look at the putter that Tiger had, it's heel-toe balance, very different than the heel-shafted putter that Phil Mickelson uses. Based on the way that you stroke, the putt you want to be straight back, straight through. There's other players that like to arc it like Phil does, Ben Crenshaw did. But I think the heel to toe weighted putters, face balanced putters, are going to be probably the best bet, because it gives you the opportunity to not only hit it dead center, you can be off a little bit, and you're still going to get the accuracy of keeping that putt on line. But I think it's vitally important to make sure that you have the putter that's built correctly for you, because the first 6 or 8 inches of a putt are going to determine your putt staying on line. And I think if you have a putter that's fit properly and is built the way that you need it to be built based on your putting stroke, whether it's a curvature putter stroke or a straight back, straight through putter stroke, that you're going to get the most out of it, and your putts are going to stay on line right out of the gate as early as possible. So that's the biggest goal, making sure that the first 6 or 8 inches of that putt, the ball's rolling how we want it to roll, and that way it holds a tighter line as you go forward. But I've got your equipment. I'm looking at them right now. They're in my office, and they're ready to rock and roll whenever you're ready.
What's the major difference? I know you explain it to me like I'm 5, because what I like is those 2-ball putters I've been looking at. What's the major difference between a 2-ball putter that I might see in Facebook ads and a putter that we're accustomed to, like the old school putter? Just I forget what you call it, a face putter or
The 2-ball putter is a face balance putter,
Okay.
which means if you were to hold the putter at like the middle or 3/4 down the shaft, the face would be perfectly flat facing towards the sky. Now, the other putters are heel and toe weighted. So you have those, when you hold those putters, like the toe will sort of fold over. You want something that the face will stay straight up, and that's a face balance putter. It's going to be the most forgiving of all of those. We carry them. You come in and take a peek at them. But that one's going to give you the best roll for a stroke that's straight back, straight through, which is about 90% of the golfers, that come and play. Seldom will you see a player that has a heel shafted putter that uses the arc. I putt that way, but I've gone back to the more conventional face balance putter. Phil Mickelson, those real thin putters or half mallets that you have the shaft going down into the heel. That's the difference between the two. So you're looking for something that's very face balanced and weighted properly from back to front. And they also put some weight in the back part of the club to really control the moment of inertia. I'm speaking in technical terms, but it basically gets your ball to roll quicker as opposed to skid. So we don't want the ball skidding, which is vitally important in that first 6 to 8 inches of a putt. We want the ball to be able to roll end over end right immediately after it makes impact with the putter face. So that's the biggest key. So you're looking for something that's face balanced. The 2-ball is. They make a couple different models, but I want to say, of the 3 or 4 models, I think 3 out of the 4 may be face balanced. So that would definitely be worth looking into, because it's going to give you the most accuracy and it's going to give you the most forgiveness when you're trying to make a putt.
No, I certainly appreciate that. One of the coolest things I got to tell you, and I think I told you already, Brian, but everybody out there, I had so much anxiety when I was going to get fitted for clubs, because I've heard about all these people, and it's a decent coin, you know what I mean, to get a new set
Absolutely.
of clubs. But I'm not a great golfer by any means. I'm not even average, I would say. And the fact that Brian lined me up with his guy, and I was up very early that morning because I was out.
Yep.
I went to the range. I had to make sure that I was somewhat qualified for a set of clubs. And the guy's like, listen, I've seen it all, and it was the most comforting experience. So if you've ever thought about getting fitted for clubs, make sure you get with Brian, because he makes it a great experience, as well as the people he's associated with. I went with the Callaways because that's the way Brian pushed me. He said Callaways are the way to go, and I can't wait. I'll probably be out today because I've been so excited to get there. Just with baseball and softball, just haven't been able to make the trip, but I'm excited to get those going.
Awesome. We appreciate the feedback. Thank you. And it's vitally important to make sure that you have the right clubs built for you. I mean, everybody's body type is different. Everybody's hand length is different from grown to standing up. Grip size is different. Club heads are different. And what you're trying to do from an equipment standpoint, it's not like it was when I got into the game, where you just took a set of clubs off the rack and you basically adapted and had to manufacture a golf swing. Now they can actually build you a set of clubs for the way that you want to swing, the way that your posture is, the way that your height is, the way that your arm length is, from a length and lie standpoint, vitally important. You could be a really good golfer or a really bad golfer if your equipment's not built right for you, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So, having that comfort in going to a demo day, no matter what company it is, I think is vitally important in making sure that you're having fun and you're making the game, from a sport that has a lot of longevity to it, making that investment to where it's enjoyable for the rest of your life. And it's basically a one-time investment. It's definitely not cheap. There's no doubt about it. But having clubs that are properly fit for you is vital in the enjoyment of the game for the future and to be able to play full force. So we can't thank you enough for what you guys do to us at Mill Creek and how you participate and let us call in. So we're excited about that. And club fitting is vital to making sure that you have a lifelong time of enjoying the game of golf. So very important.
Hey, Brian, let's go to your tip of the week. What are we dealing with this week?
Tip of the week this week is we're going to talk a little bit about dynamic weight distribution, and we'll talk about it with woods, with irons, with chipping, and putting, because it's going to vary between all of those. And the easiest way to set this up is I'll make it so it's for the right-handed golfer and the left-handed golfer, by our terminology that we use today. But, if you look at your woods and you look at your irons, we'll start off with the woods, the longest clubs in your bag. The driver is the longest club in your bag. So therefore, ball position is key to that as well. But any time that you're into woods, your stance is going to be outside shoulders width. We want to create balance. We want to create leverage. We want to create stability. So when you set up with your woods, it's going to be a little bit different than when we set up with our irons and our chipping and our putting. What you want to think about is, as we set up and we take our stance and we get over the golf ball, how much weight do you position on each foot is a question that we get quite often when it comes to the golf swing or taking a golf lesson. And when it comes to woods, when you're set up, you want to think about 60% of the weight being on your back foot, 40% of the weight being on your front foot. So that's going to be our setup position. So when we swing the club, every club that we swing on the back swing, we're going to be 80% on that back foot, and we're working towards the front foot. So we want to be able to finish 90-10. So from a setup perspective, you want to keep 60% of your weight on that back foot. We want to preload the back side a little bit, because that driver, that 3-wood, that 5-wood, is going to take a little bit more time to make the swing because it's the longest club in the bag. So setting up with the proper weight distribution is key. Back swing, 80% is going to be on that back foot, 20% is going to be on the front foot. And then we're going to follow through with 90% finishing on that front foot. Very little weight on the back foot, being 10%. That's your finish position when it comes with a driver, fairway wood, and even some of the hybrids, depending on the type of lie that you have. A little bit different when we go into the irons. You're going to start off with 50-50 on each foot. And again, when you go to the iron swing, you're going to be shoulders width apart as opposed to being outside like we were with the woods. So the stance is going to narrow to shoulders width. Again, we're going to think of the back swing, even though we're starting off at 50-50 on each foot. As we take away the golf club, we're going to have 80% on that back foot. We're going to follow through, and we're going to finish at 90-10, just like we did with the driver. So back swing's 80-20, follow through is 90-10, with the 90 being on that front foot. Chipping, it's going to change a little bit, and here's where it gets a little bit dicey from an understanding standpoint. Chipping and putting, we want to make sure our lower body is quiet. So we want to use more of the upper body with those type shots, because they're feel shots. They're not really full swing shots. Chipping is going to be what I call a swing that's basically from your kneecap to kneecap. So it's that lower quarter of the golf swing. We're pitching, between hip level to hip level. So it's the lower half of the golf swing. So anytime that you are chipping or pitching, your setup is going to be 70% of your weight on that front foot, 30% on the back foot. So as we make our swing, we want that leading edge to be able to get underneath the golf ball and get us some air time using the bounce of the club and get the golf ball up into the air, onto the green, rolling like a putt. So setup starts off with 70% of our weight on our front foot, 30% on our back foot, and we want to maintain that 70% from back to front. So we're not transitioning weight back to front. We just want to keep it locked in from a setup standpoint. So 70% on the front foot, 30% on the back. Now as we go into putting, very similar to chipping, we're going to think about 60% of our weight on our front foot, and we're going to be shoulders width apart as well. Chipping and pitching, your feet are a little bit closer together. Putting, you're going to make sure that your shoulder's width, 60% is going to be on that front foot, 40% is going to be on that back foot. And again, what we're trying to do during the putting stroke is, you're making a triangle with your arms and your shoulders, and we're maintaining that throughout the putting stroke. So it's arms and shoulders back and through. Lower body is the quietest out of all the shots that we hit to ensure that the upper body makes our putting stroke, to make sure that our putter stays on line. Going back to club fitting, making that pass, if you have a face-weighted putter, that your stroke is back and through, and it's straight back, straight through. So making sure our lower body is quiet and stable is very key. But, whether it's an iron shot, a wood shot, chipping, or pitching and putting, the weight distribution and the weight setup is going to be completely different with each one of those shots. If we were to do a wood with the putting and the chipping and so on and so forth, we'd basically be limiting our weight transfer from back to front, and we want to make sure that everybody gets off to a good, solid lower body base and is able to transfer our weight from our back side to our front side, back foot to front foot. So I think if you can keep those in mind, woods, 40% on our front, 60% on our back, irons, 50-50, chipping, 70-30, and putting, 60-40, I think you'll definitely improve, and you'll see a lot more consistency across the board when it comes to hitting shots and chipping and pitching and putting.
Brian, the common misconception that I have had personally on the golf course, when I am so close to the green and I'm chipping onto the green, I don't have my feet shoulders width apart. Should they be shoulders width apart even when I'm chipping?
Chipping, you're going to be inside shoulders width, almost to the point where your heels are almost touching, because we want to eliminate body movement whatsoever. So if we narrow those babies down and we just go with that little arc of a golf swing, we'll be in good shape. Keeping in mind you still want that 70% on that front foot.
Okay, so and obviously you also have to make sure that the ball is the higher the iron that you use, the further back you want to position the ball between your feet.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep it, depending on the type of golf shot that you're going to chip or pitch. If you want it to come in a little bit lower, it'll be a little bit behind your back foot to sort of trap it a little bit more to lower the ball flight and not put so much backspin on it. I generally tell everybody it'll be just off the instep of your back foot. I think if you keep it just in check there, you're going to get the height that you're looking for. You're going to get that beautiful backspin and that check when it hits the green. And then from that point on, you want it rolling like a putt. Really what we're trying to do from a chipping perspective is eliminate the bouncing and hopping and skidding. If we can just get that one check and sort of roll out, I think that's where you want to be. But, making sure that your weight's positioned on that front foot is key, because that keeps the leading edge of that club coming down underneath it. Keeps it a little bit steeper.
Now, define how many yards out are we talking about for someone to chip? Because that's another bone of contention. If you're, say, 75 yards away from the green, 85 yards away from the flag, is that chipping, or are you doing something a little different?
I would say your chipping is anywhere, 20 to 25 yards and in. Once you get beyond that, that's where you're going to have to make that pass that's a little bit higher than where your kneecaps are from back to front. So that's going to be more of that hip level shot and what we call a pitch shot, the 50, 75, 80-yard shot, depending upon where you're at. Beyond that, it's a full swing and, hitting these pitch shots that you want to hit and check and run. Those are basically the 70-30 setup. As you're hitting that, 90-yard shot, that's when you want to be 50-50 and you're going to hit it like a normal iron. But, I would say 75 yards to 25 yards, you're in that chipping mode, and 25 yards and in, you're in that chipping mode. That's, kneecap to kneecap as opposed to hip to hip.
When people are going through, like, trying to work through their swing, and what are some signs that they might be using the wrong weight distribution? Like maybe they're putting too much weight on their front foot when they're chipping or whatever it may be. What are some things that you could look for? Because obviously there's not a gauge that says, hey, you just put 70% of your weight on your front foot. So what are some things that they could look for to say I'm putting too much or not enough weight on the front foot or back foot?
Well, a couple things that'll happen. If you don't have the proper weight on that front foot and it's more towards the back foot or it's equal, you're going to hit a low shots that will come into the green and skid a little bit more. So you're going to catch the equator of the ball. You're going to click the golf ball a little bit more as opposed to that leading edge getting underneath. If you have that weight and the weight's forward, that leading edge will go underneath the golf ball and get you the height that you're looking for. And the reaction of when you do hit the green, is it hitting, is it checking, and then slowly rolling towards the hole, or is it hitting and jetting towards the back of the green? So those are a couple things that we see when it comes to golf lessons. That and the fact that if I take a backswing that's way too far, the thing that you start thinking about is I have to slow down coming into the golf ball. We want to accelerate through chip shots and pitch shots as we're hitting those, because we're using that leading edge to create that backspin on the ball. So when it does hit the green, it does check up, release how we want it to. Now, sometimes you hit it in the rough and it's just not going to come out that way. But if you're consistently seeing, the ball skid and have a lot of top spin, that's a great indicator that we don't have enough weight on that front foot and allowing that leading edge to get underneath the golf ball and get the backspin that you're after. But, weight's vitally important, especially when you get into the short game, because that's where all your shots are saved. And if we're set up incorrectly, you have to do a lot of things to hit the shot properly. But weight, being on that front foot is vitally important.
All right, so the first thing that I do when I hit this $50,000 win is to get fitted for clubs, because, at 6'1.5", 6'2", I don't think I'm playing with the right clubs. So I'll need to be fitted for clubs in order for me to have somewhat of a decent game. And even that will probably still not be enough.
I think the first thing you do is you take me and Brian out to dinner.
Well, that is the first thing. Yeah, that's the first thing. And then, by the way, we're making a stop, and you're fitting me with. By the way, just so everyone knows, Callaway they make clubs. Who are some of the other brand names that make clubs that people would be aware of?
Callaway has fitting. TaylorMade has fitting. Titleist has fitting as well. Another company called Tour Edge. I think pretty much everybody across the board has golf club fitting of some sort or another, going all out. And I think, just from a technology standpoint, you want to make sure you're getting the best use of the technology and the forgiveness of the clubs, and the ease of being able to hit a poor shot and still get a pretty good result. And I think that if you get fit properly, like your height and your build, Ron's different than Anthony's and different than mine. You're going to have three different combinations of if we were all to get fitted for clubs. And it's based on that. We want to customize it to everybody's body build and size. And, what Jason Kokorak uses is different than what Phil Mickelson uses and Tiger Woods and so on down the line, because everybody's built completely differently. So years ago, you had to always adapt. Now you work with what you have, which is what I like, from a lesson standpoint. Folks come to me and get a golf lesson. I'm working with your ability and what you're able to do, and we can build off of that. I'm not trying to build Tiger Woods' swing into anybody that comes here, or Nancy Lopez's swing, or Jack Nicklaus's swing. Everybody has a certain amount of ability, a certain amount of rotation and flexibility. You have to use what's there, your best of your ability, and that comes from making sure they have the right clubs, making sure the lie angle on their clubs is properly fit. For example, if I'm using a club that's too flat, the toe will have the tendency to dig. When the toe has a tendency to dig, the face is open, so you're going to hit a lot of slices or shots to the right. If a club was too upright for me, made for a taller person, that heel will dig. And when the heel digs, you're going to hit a lot of low shots left. So, just from a lie angle perspective, it's huge, not only to the point where the length of the club makes a big difference as well.
Brian, always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you next week, and hopefully dinner will be on me soon.
Hopefully we'll go back-to-back with Jason last week and Bryson this week. Thanks for having me on, guys. Always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Hey, before we let you go, I gotta let you know, my father has not stopped talking about all of the changes that were made at Mill Creek. He and a bunch of, how shall I say this nicely, older gentlemen all go golfing, and they go to various courses around northeastern Ohio. The North Course at Mill Creek was their trip yesterday, and my father could not stop talking about how great Mill Creek looked, how phenomenal the cart paths were. Just everything about the golf course was spectacular. And while he also said he golfed without question the worst golf he's ever had, I find that hard to believe. He loved the changes at Mill Creek, and he said that it was just absolutely perfect, and that the golf course was just incredible.
Well, thank you. We appreciate hearing that. Our staff is so dedicated, and they work so hard, and it's kudos to them for the time and effort that they put in, and part of the plan that we put together with the capital improvement has been huge as well. And we can't thank our executive director and our board for their support in reinvesting into this property, as well as some other things across the metro parks. But it's certainly a game changer in some of the stuff that we've been able to do, and still what we have on the slate for the next 5 years too, which is making it exciting. So to be able to hear that feedback is something positive for us. Thank you.
All right, Brian, always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you next week, sir.
You got it. Have a great week.
You as well. Brian Tilnar from Mill Creek joining us on, as he always does, every Wednesday on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. It's always cool to have Brian on.
Yeah, we love those segments. They're always fun, and it's good to have a legitimate expert come on and talk about a sport, because as much as you and me like to think we're experts.
Not in golf, I'm not. Hell no, I'm not. When he started talking about if you put too much weight on your back foot on the chips and the ball can go on a line, I'm just like,
I do that.
I do that. I do that far more often than what I should do. Yeah, that's not good. So always good to have Brian on. His tip of the week, I'm using it quite often whenever I have the opportunity to golf. So, yeah, good times. We'll take a time out. On the other side, more of your phone calls on this Wednesday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
This is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. We were having an interesting conversation on when the state of Ohio is finally going to wake up and get to the sports gaming, which they're literally losing money hand over fist. Every time I go to Mountaineer, which hasn't been very often the last month or so, but ideally, when you go to Mountaineer and during baseball season, especially during football season, you will see a large number of Ohio license plates in Mountaineer, which is just across the Knoll Bridge or just across the Ohio River into West Virginia. A number of Ohio license plates are taking advantage of being able to legally put money down on a professional sporting event, which is something the state of Ohio has not figured out yet. Well, and you're losing money not only to the people in West Virginia, Pennsylvania also has it, Michigan also has it, Indiana also has it. I believe Kentucky is the only state that I'm not positive they have it, but I know Indiana, Michigan, PA, and West Virginia all have legalized sports gambling.
You said it off there too. They're fighting with each other, and I feel like sometimes they'd rather fight with each other about how to do it than actually just do it.
Yeah, they just
want to argue with each other.
I get to a degree. I understand what the arguments within are all about, but you just come up with something and oh, by the way, do it before college football and pro football begins, because that's where most of the money is going to be coming from. If you miss that mark, oh God, you're talking about a lot of money that's going to be gone out of Ohio into the border states. This is such a slam dunk. I just don't understand how the state politicians in Columbus don't see this. Oh well.
There's that stigma that goes along with gambling that's like we're better than that.
I had to choke just hearing about that. The facility where the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals are playing has now become the first facility where you can openly place a bet inside a sports arena And I just look, I don't know if it's going to come to that, because at that point, then you look and say, okay, how much of the leagues now are going to be fixed? How much of this is going to be on the up and up?
It's just a little peek behind the curtain, because there's probably a lot of that stuff going on.
Oh, sure.
And now you're just going to...
Yeah, and look, I mean, it's 1919 is not going to happen in professional sports.
Publicly.
And I say that being the Black Sox scandal. The only reason why the Black Sox scandal happened was because the Chicago White Sox owner was such a cheapskate that he didn't give his players anything for bonuses. I mean, it was embarrassing what Charles Comiskey was historically known for, and that's the reason why the White Sox said, well, we can get more money by going into the gamblers and fixing games for them. Well, as it turns out, they weren't paid all that much money, because the gamblers sat back and said, okay, well, we have enough money. We're not even going to give these guys a reasonable share. We're going to give these guys a pittance. And then when they sort of turned around and said, well, screw you, we're going to start winning games again, that's when all of the players got threatened with their lives, and then they realized they were in way, way, way over their heads.
Oops.
Yeah, so a little history lesson for those.
We always like to dive into history a little bit on Running Point. History, pop culture, sports, nothing's off the subject.
Yeah.
But we can now talk about, because it has been announced on YSN socials, the pitchers of the year in baseball, YSN pitcher of the year in softball. And both these pitchers have just put up numbers that you just go, this got to be a typo.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, Callow's numbers are insanely good.
So Bree Callow has 135.1 innings pitched, and according to Max Preps, they played 21 games, which is like 147 innings.
Well, 21 times 7 would be 147 out of a possible 147. But you got to keep in mind.
So I think there was one game where Bree didn't start, and that was like the game before the tournament.
And you also have to keep in mind that McDonald did play a lot of 5-inning games where they were mercy rolled.
It's true. So 135.1 innings pitched, 308 strikeouts. That's not a typo, not a misprint. It's real. Only 11 walks. An ERA of 1.10, 5 no-hitters, 2 perfect games. There is no one else that could be in this. I mean, a lot of good pitchers in the area. No one's doing that. In my word. My word.
That is some crazy good numbers. And I know some people will sit back and go, okay, well, she's a Division IV pitcher.
I don't care who
let me
you're
see
going
what
up
she
against.
let me see what she were to do against D2 and D1. No. Don't throw that
You
argument.
could be going up against a team made out of people in the office, and if you do that through 135.1 innings,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah, 135 in the third innings, and you have over 300 strikeouts. That's crazy good.
Over 2 strikeouts per inning.
Yes. Yeah, that's crazy good numbers. Where is she going to college?
Video game numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, where is she going to college?
I believe John Carroll.
That's a that's a heck of a good story. If she plays softball, and I would assume that she'll play softball at D3 John Carroll.
Yeah, John Carroll University.
Yeah, that's what a get for John Carroll if she decides to play softball. What a get for those kids in that program. Because Bree Callow, I mean, those are D1 type of numbers. Yes, now you can start talking about, okay, the level of competition, but still, those are numbers that some D1 schools would look at and go, okay, we're interested in this person.
Remember, in college, she won't be relied on to pitch almost every inning of the season.
Exactly.
So her numbers are going to be able to get better because she's not going to have the pressure of having to carry the team on her shoulders.
And the other part of this, who throws 6 no-hitters in one season?
5 no-hitters, 2 perfect games.
Yeah. I mean,
So
that's
like,
7 no-hitters. No, that's 5
7 no-hitters
okay.
and 2 of them are perfect.
Yeah. I mean, who does that? I mean, if you've made 20-some-odd starts, are you telling me over 25% of your starts resulted in a no-hitter? Who the hell does that? That's incredible.
Demigods.
Oh, my goodness. That's that. Oh man, that is that. Those are incredible numbers.
Won't be a shock, but 30. All of those are program records, by the way.
Well, yeah, gee,
not a shock.
Yeah. Here's my shock look. Yeah. Wow. Great numbers.
You can't say enough about the season that Bree Callow has put together for McDonald, and it seemed like every time I was writing a story, it was like 12 strikeouts. 13 strikeouts, 17 strikeouts. Almost never under 10.
No, it's anytime someone can go double digits in strikeouts in practically every game, yeah, you have my attention. That's pretty impressive. Now, the guy's pitcher of the year, Brandon Mikos, he's headed to Youngstown State. Dan Bertolini's got to be smiling like a butcher's dog, in the words of the Hall of Fame hockey announcer Mike Lang.
So Brandon Mikos is 9-0 on the season. He has pitched 58 innings and has struck out 104 batters.
All right, so 104 punch-outs in 58 innings. That's not quite 2 punch-outs an inning, but still really, really impressive.
Only 4 runs have been scored against South Range while he's on the mound.
Are all of them earned?
Well, his ERA is 0.25 in 58 innings. So,
okay, so you said only four runs, and you have to multiply it by 7 because he's not a 9-inning pitcher. And how many innings did you say?
Yeah, 58.
58 innings. What's his ERA again?
0.25.
Okay, it's not 4 runs then. So not all of those runs were earned.
So even
half of those runs were earned. So if his defense, if his defense would not given up any unearned runs, it would be 2 earned runs in 58 innings of work. That's a 0.24 earned run average. That is insane.
And this isn't like he only played 2 games or 9-0, 58 innings pitched. That's more than enough work to make those numbers.
And you think of the non-decisions too, because 58 innings divided by 9, we're looking. Hold on a second. 58 divided by 9, we're looking at 6.4, which is a little between 6 1/3 and 6 2/3. Well, you know that he's. He probably had a couple of no decisions in there as well because South Range, like McDonald, played in some mercy rule games.
Yeah, like Bree Callow, probably some 5-inning run rules where he didn't pitch the whole 7 innings.
Sure.
And 104 strikeouts is, by the way, the South Range record, previously set by Jake Gehring at 100. So 104 strikeouts in a season, also South Range record, and still counting because they're still playing. So that's not even his final line of the season.
0.24 earned run average. Wow. Okay, that's absurd. I mean, that is.
It's video game numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it's how many hits has he allowed in the 58 innings?
I'll have to look.
I mean, that's crazy. And then if you want to go Sabermetrics nerd alert, you get you add the amount of hits and walks and divide it by the innings pitched. Dude, I'll guarantee you he has a whip under 1. I'll guarantee you he has one.
You have to with those numbers, right? I mean,
oh my God, those are insanely good numbers. You said 58 innings of work.
56 innings.
56 innings of work. All right.
And he's faced 198 batters, the record of 9-0, 104 strikeouts, 25 hits.
25 hits in 56 innings. How many walks did he allow this year?
9 walks.
Divided by 56. Yeah, 56 divided by 34. Congratulations, you have a whip of... No, that's no way. 34 divided by 56. Congratulations, you have a whip of 0.61. What?
And then
I mean, those are comical, ridiculous numbers. I mean, who does that? I mean, Dan Bertolini's got to be looking at this going, huh.
Come on.
Okay. Yeah. And we just lost our front two starters and possibly your third starter if John Snyder has a really good year in the Cape and catches some people's eyes because he is draft eligible. Boy, oh boy. What a future this kid has. My goodness. Both of them. What a future both of these kids have. Good Lord.
We're blessed with amazing pitching in the area because even with those numbers, it was a discussion. There were other players that we said they should be in the talk. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a number of pitchers.
A lot of areas, this number would just be.
Yeah.
Come home. Let's go.
No, there were a number of pitchers that made this difficult.
Right. So we're blessed with really good pitching in the area on both baseball and softball.
My goodness, Champ, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
Good afternoon, Ron. Good afternoon, Anthony. I hope you guys are doing well today.
Good.
Excellent show. You know, I want to talk about something that I've always wanted to talk about, and it came to my attention. We were talking to your golf pro today. As you know, I'm a big Phil Mickelson fan. I'm still celebrating his PGA victory, which I thought was one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen in professional sports. A 50-year-old out there out driving the field and winning that tournament. But Phil Mickelson is a natural right-hander. He golfs left-handed because he used the mirror method, where he could face his father and do that swing. But here's my question: you have two of our sports, professional sports, involving using something to hit a ball. One's baseball, and one is golf. I find it interesting that 10 to 12% of the population is left-handed. Now, Ron, you're left-handed, correct?
I am left-handed.
I am too. 10 to 12% of the population is left-handed, but almost 40 to 50% of the hitters hit left-handed. Most of your switch hitters, not all of them, are natural right-handers. There's really no reason for a left-hander to switch hit. I think it's simple because they have a 2-foot head start going to first base. And so obviously a lot of right-handers switch hit. So there's a lot more lefties in the game of baseball, but it's totally opposite in the game of golf. And I always wondered why that was like that. I golfed this week with a couple friends of mine who are natural left-handers in baseball, but they golf right-handed. And I started to research this, and it's interesting because some of the reasons I saw was that a lot of times, and we're talking maybe 30, 40 years ago, you couldn't find a lot of left-handed clubs, and this particular that person I played with said that his family really couldn't afford to buy left-handed clubs. They were more expensive, and there wasn't a great selection, so he just learned to hit right-handed. Another reason is that I guess most of the clubs, when they make most of these clubs, especially for guys that aren't professionals like us, we have a tendency to have a slice on the ball. So if you're a right-hander, your ball would move left to right, as compared to your left-hander, it would move from right to left. And a lot of golf courses that were built during this time, back in the day, a lot of them put the out-of-bounds stuff on the left side of the course because the right-handers would hit away from that, left-handers would hit into it. So a lot of left-handers played golf right-handed, and a lot of your teachers and instructors back in the day would actually recommend that you play right-handed instead of left-handed.
I play right-handed, Chimp. I'm left-handed,
okay,
but I play right-handed.
And why do you play right-handed? I'm curious.
I have no idea. I bat right-handed. I play right-handed, but I'm left-handed. I don't understand why. I throw left-handed.
Right?
I do everything with my left hand, but if I swing a club, it's right-handed. If I swing a bat, it's right-handed. Although
Can you swing left?
Absolutely, I can. I can switch hit.
Ron's all amphibious. Ambidextrous.
But the problem is my bat speed, which is now none because I'm old, but I have more bat speed from the right side than I do the left side. But I can hit the ball from both sides of the plate. When I was younger, I could hit the ball from both sides of the plate, but I had more bat speed from the right-hand side. I've tried playing golf one time left-handed, and it went about as well as I would normally play right-handed, which isn't all that good.
Well, you're a whole separate thing. We might have to get like a team, like the same team that worked on the Elephant Man, to maybe work with you. But back to my original point, I was curious. I wanted to ask the golf pro from Mill Creek whether he sees a change, whether there are more natural left-handers hitting the ball left-handed, or is it still the same trend and I say 10 to 12% of the population is left-handed, but only 5 to 7% of golfers play left-handed. So a lot of them that are natural left-handers do play right-handed, and I think it's just the way that the courses are built, the way the clubs are made, and I wonder if that's changing, that trend. And Phil Mickelson's a bad example because he's actually naturally right-handed. You don't find that too often, but I'm curious on what you think about that topic.
I've seen some left-handed golf clubs. If you go to a golf store, you see a couple more left-handed golf clubs, but the reality is the amount of left-handed hitters on the professional tour are about the same as we've always had. So I think it's still a right-hander's game. Which is why you have a lot more right-handed golfers, and why left-handers are moving to the other side and golfing right-handed, because the equipment is so rare. And I don't know if it would cost more, but the equipment is so rare. Though I have seen some, it's nowhere close to the amount of stuff that's on sale that's right-handed.
Probably a lot more easily accessible with these specialty clubs that you can just order online or whatever it may be. You don't have to give up your search if it's not at the store anymore like you used to. I wrote that down. We're going to ask Brian next week what his take on that is, because it's actually a very interesting question, especially with Phil Mickelson winning last week.
And honestly, Champ, I golfed one time left-handed. I would actually be willing to be taught how to golf left-handed, because I am left-handed, and I feel more comfortable as I've gotten older. I'm more comfortable swinging a bat from the left-hand side, and I would think I would be more comfortable swinging a club from the left side. But I would be receptive to that.
I remember as a kid growing up, I'm a natural left-hander. I do everything left-handed. When I would go and buy, I remember I was looking for a first baseman's mitt this is way back maybe in the 70s, and even in the 80s when I needed to get a new glove, it was hard to find a glove for the right hand, left-hander.
Yeah.
It was like smaller for whatever reason. They and I couldn't find a big enough glove to wear as a left-handed player. And it seemed like all the right-handed gloves were much bigger. There was a bigger selection. So I ended up finding an odds and ends table in Florida. I'll never forget this. In 1980, when I lived in Florida, I went to an odds and ends table where there were shoes and socks. I picked up this really big left-handed glove, and that turned out to be, it wasn't a first baseman's mitt, but I used that at first for many years, 30 years, because it was so large. But I had to find it on an odds and ends table with shoes and socks and things that didn't match. So I guess it's just the life of being a left-hander, I guess, growing up, that the selection is not there. And my dad had an old set of left-handed clubs he kept in the attic for years, and I never could figure out why. And he says that when I found out you were left-handed, I bought these clubs, and I didn't play golf till I was like in my 30s, started playing golf.
Yeah.
So I golf left-handed, but there is much more selection right now. But I'd be curious if instructors are still recommending to natural left-handers that they hit the ball right-handed.
It's a good question, and I remember you brought up something that triggered me in growing up. My older brother, Rich, is also left-handed, and he was a first baseman because he was a pretty big boy. I mean, he's 6'7", but he was a pretty big boy when he was in Little League, and he's like a year and 2 years older than I am. So we were never in the same league together per se, but whenever we were shopping for baseball gloves, trying to get a left-handed first baseman's mitt that you put on your right hand, that was like trying to find a friggin' needle in a haystack, let alone trying to find an outfielder's glove or any glove that was left-handed. You essentially had to get a special order because most, if not all, of the sporting goods gloves were for the left hand for the right-handed people. And it was a pain in the ass to get a really good mitt. I think in my closet somewhere, the glove is at least 10 years old and it's in great shape. It's a Rawlings glove. It's an outfielder's glove, and I still have it. And it's in fantastic shape. But yeah, it was a pain in the backside to try to get a glove for Little League as a left-hander. It was just next to impossible to do.
Yeah, the glove I found, I played first for thousands and thousands of games for 30 years. I had that glove restrung 6 times because I didn't want to get another one. It was so nice, and I actually still have that glove, and it's under lock and key in case someone calls and sees if I want to join the 70 and over baseball league. Which they haven't called yet. Okay. So, anyways, but yeah, that's the story on being a left-hander growing up. But I'd be curious. But it's amazing in baseball how most of you, because I was interested, most of your switch hitters are right-handed. Very seldom. I could think of an oddity like Ricky Henderson batted right-handed, but he threw left-handed, which is an oddity. You don't find that too often.
Yeah.
And that's something different. But yeah, but that's and I think the only other sport that someone told me there might be a slight advantage is maybe a bowler, because that part of the lane they don't use as much because right-handers use the other part, and they say that could make a difference. I don't know. I'm not a big bowler, so I don't know that. But that's another sport that people mentioned. Maybe left-handers have a slight advantage.
I don't know if I don't know if they have an advantage. I mean, if you throw a curveball, you're going to be toward the left gutter instead of the right gutter. I mean, I don't think it's that much of an advantage per se.
Well, I think the spin, because a left-hander would start from the left and use that part of the bowling lane. It's not used that much. The other part of the bowling lane is used more because the right-hander spins it from right to left.
Yeah, from that perspective, okay, I can understand that.
I think that might be a disadvantage because you still have to deal with more of the oil in the lane.
That's true, too.
Than the other side does.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah.
I mean, but left-handers have a natural curve where right-handers don't. So, let me ask you, because you're a left-handed golfer, how do you, on the interlock in which a right-hander would use the bottom hand, which is the left hand, the index finger over top of the pinky finger on the right hand, how do you do it left-handed?
Just the same way, just the opposite, with the pinky finger. But I don't like to use. I mean, sometimes I let my I forget what hand it is, but my I think it's my left thumb. I don't do much with my thumbs basically because you don't want them to get in the way. But yeah, I use the standard interlock we use for right hand. I just use it for left-handers, but it'll be different in terms of which pinky you're using because I'm left-handed.
Okay, so
I don't use the cross grip or anything like that. I use a natural, just like you would hold a baseball, except I would cross my pinky over. Just like a right-hander would do on that cross.
Okay, so the interlock would then be your pinky on your left hand, the index finger on your right hand.
Yes, and it's funny. When I was learning how to play golf, I had bought this book. I think Ben Hogan wrote it about how to golf. And I read the whole thing and I read it again, and I just couldn't get it. But about 10 years, I picked the book up again. What I did? I went through the whole book and I changed everything that said left to right and everything that said right to left. Then I was able to read it. It's almost like the other way, I needed an interpreter. But because it's hard to say, well, you're reading left hand, but you're actually thinking right hand because you're left-handed. But I changed the whole book, and when I read it that second time around, 10 years later, it made more sense to me. I think I was able to get to the point quicker. And it worked for me, but that's one of the difficulties left-handers have in this society, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, we are discriminated against. This is a right-handed society, and us left-handers are discriminated against. I mean, it's just it's common knowledge.
Chicks dig the left-handers, though.
But this is true. Well, chicks have always digged the left-handers. I mean,
and I notice when a cute girl comes around, you bite left-handed, don't you?
Lord, we're gonna stop now.
Yeah, we're gonna stop. But anyways, when you have him on next week, ask him about that because I'm curious whether that has changed or whether because I've been trying to hit a draw lately, go left to right with my swing. I've made that switch the last couple of years because there's more topspin. The ball goes farther as compared to when you hit a fade, which a right-hander that would be the opposite, obviously.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, I'm curious about that, but this Torrey Pines is coming up here, and Phil Mickelson has never. The only major he hasn't won is the U.S. Open. He's finished second 6 times, and now it's in Torrey Pines, which is basically in his backyard. I don't really think he has a shot, but boy, wouldn't that be special if he could win that and complete the Grand Slam of golf. That would be something special.
Listen, all I will tell the fans of Mickelson and Tiger, you've gotten your thrill for their lifetime. They're not winning another major again.
No, but you know what? When they're not on, when Phil and Tiger go away, I think golf's going to have almost the same problem that tennis had because those are still two most popular golfers out there, still at their ages.
No, I agree with that, but I think that
Yeah.
there are some guys, and I think DeChambeau is a guy that's just a magnetic type of personality, and there's some other personalities where I think the game will be okay. Tennis does not have that magnetic personality, and I think that's why tennis is struggling, because you don't have the Andre Agassi type of guy.
Side, the women
McEnroe, Connors. Yeah. It's they don't have. I mean, Pete Sampras was a great player, but he was boring.
Yeah, he had the personality of a dead elephant.
A lot of people
Right.
like Djokovic.
Yeah.
And Federer, and the rivalry that those two have is a big thing in tennis. But the women have really stepped up with Serena. And Serena brought popularity to women's tennis.
But when Serena leaves, who do we have left?
That Osaka?
Yeah, and she
and Coco or whatever.
Yeah, there's a couple of people,
couple upcoming,
but no one has that personality that Serena has. That's where tennis is.
Unfortunately, Maria Sharapova is going to be in the same line as Serena when they leave. They're going to leave at the same time.
Yeah,
because they're at the same age group.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but I think golf has more than enough personalities where
absolutely.
I think the golf world will absorb the loss of Tiger and Phil and move on. Where tennis really, I mean, the guys really haven't moved on because there's not enough personalities now that Federer and the other Djokovic is not Djokovic.
Novak Djokovic.
Yeah,
the lefty from Spain,
those guys are on
Nadal.
Yeah, Nadal and Federer. Those guys are on the autumn of a brilliant career. They're ready to leave, and there's not much personality behind those guys yet. So,
and more importantly, there's really no Americans that are challenging like there used to be with McEnroe and Connors.
Well, and that's the other part.
I think we lack that. I think a lot of people don't like that sport because there's just not a lot of Americans that you can root for.
Well, the same thing with boxing, though. When's the last boxing heavyweight up past Tyson? The recent kid from Alabama, but he turned out to be a guy that was not really all that great because he got his ass kicked in the unification bout. So, boxing has had that problem as well.
Yeah, the best boxing match I saw among Americans was, I think, when Joe Kapp was fighting with some other old guy. Remember that with the cane?
Angelo Mosca, former professional wrestler. Those two in the CFL alumni press conference, those two went at it.
Yeah. It was canes. I think they both had cane, or one of them. I think Joe Kapp had a cane. He was like hitting with his cane.
Yeah, Kapp didn't have the cane. Mosca had the cane, and he started wheeling the cane around, and Kapp punched him in the face, knocked him down. I was like, damn, this got sideways pretty quickly.
Yeah, you don't mess with those Cal quarterbacks, I'll tell you right now.
Oh, no kidding.
But anyway, that's all I called for. But I always enjoyed your talk every Wednesday. I haven't played Mill Creek yet, which is unusual because a couple times, but we got it scheduled coming up a lot, so I'm very anxious. And the North Course, to me, is one of the hardest courses in the area. I much prefer the South. It's more wide open, but the North it's just always been a tough course for me. It's just very tight, and you can really implode quickly on that North Course.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, guys, good show.
All right, champ.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right, 330-886-0823. Or 0813, excuse me. How many times have I said this number, and that's the first time I've missed a slam dunk? Good Lord.
You're not batting 1,000 anymore.
Not batting 1,000 anymore. 330-886-0813. Take a time out. Be back with more of the Wednesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
"60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love."
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
Every customer has a story, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we go the extra mile for you.
By finding you the right vehicle at the right price.
By giving you confidence in your vehicle with the Greenwood Advantage warranty.
By guaranteeing you financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
And by being with you for every mile of your journey.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we do whatever it takes to go the extra mile. So, how can we go the extra mile for you?
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you, alongside Anthony Hardwig, who we haven't seen in forever and a day because he's too busy doing softball games.
It's been a hot minute, but I'm back.
Yeah, there you go. Are you going to be doing any B-League games?
No, not at scene. I can't do, because you're up in that high press box.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm blind as a bat, if you don't know. And I would be like, the ball gets hit somewhere, and the runner's home first.
You'd be like Bob Uecker's partner in Major League.
Or you
fly ball.
Like, if you had a camera
out
on me in the press box, I'd be like, was that strike? Strike. Okay, strike one.
That's a strike, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a strike.
I'd have to have a spotter. I'd have to have someone be like, that ball's hit the left field. That ball's hit the left field.
Okay. You got to get like a little Morse code.
Right. like someone in the press box going,
Yeah.
all right, that ball's hit the left field.
You would be surprised how many spotters for a college game on television or a pro football game, you have spotters in the booth alongside the play-by-play broadcaster as well as the color analyst. You see them every once in a while pointing to if you're doing a football game, the broadcasters will normally have a flip chart where you have the Team A's offense on one side, Team B's defense on the other side, and the guy sitting here pointing at a number on the program or pointing at a number on the flip chart, saying that this is the guy that caught the ball. It's fascinating how many guys get involved in those type of games. I have a good friend of mine that does games on TV on ESPN. We've had him on the show a couple of times. Tom Hart does a great job with the Southeastern Conference. He's a Missouri grad, and he has a spotter, has a statistician they join him. He has a longtime statistician, and he says, it's kind of like the pitcher that really likes the catcher and they work well together. He has his own spotter and his own statistician guy, and he doesn't go anywhere without those guys.
Yeah, and I am so happy that we get Game Changer for baseball and softball, because that's our own statistician.
Yeah.
So we just look and say, hey, this guy's 2 for 2 with an RBI. But in volleyball, I have a notepad, and I'm just like making stats as I'm going in the broadcast myself. I mean, we're our own statisticians for most of the time at YSN.
I have to keep score when I'm doing baseball. I cannot look at a stat thing and no, I'm not going to do that. I got to keep score. So I ordered the Bob Carpenter scorebook, which I've used, ever since I went into the minor leagues. I use that book because it's really cool, because you have the lineup. On the top part of it, you have the defensive alignment for the opposing team. You have the box score in the top left-hand corner. You have enough room on the right-hand side to make some mental notes and whatever. And then you have the starting lineup. And then on the bottom of the starting lineup, you have, the bench players for this particular team's lineup. How many of them are left-handed? How many of them are right-handed? How many of them are switch hitters? So you start writing in who's left on the bench. It's a perfect scorebook. And I'm like, okay, so I'll keep scoring the game. I'll ground ball hit to the second baseman, throw to first in time. All right, 4-3 if you're scoring at home. But mine's a little bit different than how other people keep scoring a game.
And let me tell you, when you're trying to score volleyball while you're calling a game,
oh no, it's a nightmare.
You have to think of like quick ways to do it. So I just do like an X for a swing.
Yeah.
Because every swing is an attack. So you have to have every time someone swings over the net, whether it goes down or it's dig up or swing. And then if it's a kill, I put K, then the number. And then S, I put the capital A number for who has said it, for the assist.
Okay.
And I have to do that at every point. So if it's a long rally, I'm sitting there making mental swing,
all right, so
swing.
So what do you do for dig? D?
D, capital
okay.
D number.
Okay.
Just something I can write really quickly.
Yeah.
If you don't have time, the next point starting, you got to go. I think I actually do little lowercase a for assist and then capital A for a service ace.
Okay, but you got to write down the player's jersey number though, right?
Right.
Man, that could be tough.
But I don't do jersey numbers for just swings because that would be just...
Yeah.
So I have team attack hit percentage.
Now, what is a swing?
Anytime it's, the ball's set and they swing it over the net is an attack.
Okay.
Swing. So that's an X for me.
So that's like a spike.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And then if it goes down, it's a kill. So I put K, jersey number, and then little A.
Okay. All right. So if someone swings and the ball hits the ground, it's a kill. So you will S, K, and then the jersey number.
Well, X. Well, no, because I don't have to do an extra X for the kill because the kill is already a swing.
Okay.
So it's like you're doing double duty. So once I put K, that gets added as one of the team's attacks.
Gotcha.
So I know that. So then at the end of the game, I just go count up all the X's and K's, and then capital E's for errors if it goes out, and then subtract the E's from the K's divided by the total X, K's, and E's. And then
this is why you're the volleyball expert.
One time my mom looked and she goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm keeping score." And she's like, "It's just a bunch of X's, K's, E's."
Yeah, there you go. I mean, well, this is Anthony's version of keeping score.
It works.
Absolutely.
It works for me.
Absolutely.
So-
I mean, for some people, when they keep score for baseball, they'll move like in the form of a diamond. If someone gets a base hit, you'll move from home plate to first base. I don't do it like that. I have the four corners of a square, which is what the room that you have for the batter. So if somebody gets a base hit, I put a single slash mark and which direction it hit. So if I have a base hit to center field, it looks like a 1 on the right-hand corner of the scorebook, which means he got to first base on a base hit. If he doubled down the left field line, I'm putting 2 hash marks on the upper right-hand corner as to say, double down the left field line. If a guy tripled into right center, I'm putting the hash marks at a 45-degree angle toward right center, triple to right center. And if somebody hits a home run, then I just put the amount of home runs he's had. So like if it's his 15th home run of the year, I put 15, put a circle around it, and how many runs he drove in is the amount of dots that I put in.
So you don't do like before we had Game Changer, the 1 year we did softball without it, I just did the line to first, and that's a single.
Yeah.
And the line from first to second,
Yeah,
that's a double.
see,
and then I would put 1B,
Yeah.
or 2B,
Yeah.
or 3B.
Yeah.
Or then I would do all 4 for a home
See,
run.
I could do that, but I was like always got confused as to how that runner went to second base based on what the on deck hitter did. So I used the bottom right hand corner for first base, upper right hand corner for second base, upper left hand corner for third base, and the bottom left hand corner is home plate. So if a runner scores, I will put the position number as to who drove him in. So let's say the shortstop drove in the runner from second base. I will put on the runner that scored, I'll put a 6 on the lower left-hand corner, and then I'll put a dot wherever the shortstop wound up.
Do you still score a put out the way that normal people do?
Oh yeah,
You just
4-3.
4-3,
Yeah,
and
4-3, 5-3, 6-3. If it's a fly ball, 8. If I think the ball was hit in the left center field, I'll put 8 LC.
I put FO 8, fly out to 8.
Yeah.
Or PO or
Yeah, and if it's a foul ball, I'll put 5F, which means the pop up in foul territory. I mean, people looked at me and they were like, "What the hell is this?"
So what
and
do
I'm
you do
like,
for a
"Well,
home
this
run?
is."
If you do 3 slashes for a triple,
If I do a home run, it's how many home runs have this guy hit on the year. If it's his first home run, then I go 1, circle around the 1, and was it a 3-run shot to center field? 1 circle, ... on top of the circle, which means he hit it to center field.
So if it's a home run to right, you're putting the dots on the
I'm
right
putting
side
the
of
dot
circle.
on the right side of the circle.
And if it's the left,
And if it's the left, it's on the left side
so
of the
obviously
circle.
a solo shot gets 1 dot.
One dot for a
2,
solo,
3.
2-run homer, 2 dots, grand slam, 4 dots. Yeah.
If whatever works.
Hey, whatever works. I mean, it just, whatever works.
I can't say anything because people would look at my volleyball scorebook and go,
it's
because it resembles nothing as far as like a scorebook.
Yeah,
it's just X's and
yeah. I remember the last year I was in minor league baseball. The guy that I worked with, Dan Zengrilli, who's now doing some things with West Virginia with their athletic department. He would come in and do the middle 3 innings when we're at home. So he would be out doing something, schmoozing with some people that he's trying to sell advertising for. And he'd come in and he goes, "Hey, how did the first 3 innings go? Let me see your scorebook." And he goes, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "My version of keeping score." I don't know. what does all this mean? I'm like, well, let me tell you what this means. Well, I only got 90 seconds because we're in the middle of a break. I'm like, it sucks to be you. You should have been here the first 3 innings. Then you would have kept score. We'll take a timeout.
Now, if someone else keeps score for you, because that never happens, but if someone else was to give you a scorebook.
Oh, I would look at it and go,
oh my God, what is this?
Yeah, what the hell kind of sorcery is this crap? I mean, I don't understand any of this. So it's just you have your own way of doing it, and people look at you and go, wow, that's bizarre, but welcome to my world. Speaking of bizarre, we have nothing bizarre to talk about to close the show, but we do have B-League games tonight. We'll tell you where we're going to be after this final timeout. Stick around.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well-appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
If you're looking for a new Ford vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of new Ford models. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your new Ford. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their new Ford at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. We get some B-League games tonight, do we not?
We do. We do. We have 5 games on the network. It's the 18U night at Scene Park. We have 2 games at Scene 3, 2 games at Scene 1, and 1 game at Scene 2. Times are 5:30, 6, 8, 8:15, and 8:30. And it looks like Andy, Alec, and Jacob will be calling those games from Scene.
By the way, before we get out of here, I know some wrestling fans want to hear this. In the last couple of hours, WWE has released some wrestlers, including Braun Strowman. I have no idea what the heck is going on here, but WWE has come to terms on the releases of Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Murphy, Ruby Riott, and one other wrestler no one's ever heard of, Santana Garrett. Amazing to me Braun Strowman is not in WWE anymore. That's borderline absurdity. All right, on that note, Power Hour is coming up next. We're graced with you tomorrow as well.
Yes, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll dive into some heavy previews of the baseball regional matchups. And we'll also have to talk about the softball state semifinals since it starts at 10 a.m. on Friday morning.
Indeed. That'll all be coming up tomorrow, noon to 3 on ysnlive.com.